What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
Whitebeard Emperor copying Phoenix Fruit 1 We Chapter 1 White Ball Ron, Paramecia copy fruit. Advertisement New World, the Whitebeard Pirates. On the boat of the 4th Squadron, a figure of 13 or 14 years old was sitting in the bow area, holding a fishing rod in his hand and fishing sleepily. Ron! Ron! A shout came, and through the sound, Saki, the captain of the 4th team, was striding forward. After arriving at Ron's side, Saki sat down directly and said, "You little brat are lazy here again. Aren't you afraid of being kicked off the ship if you don't exercise properly?" While talking, Saki picked up a bottle of wine and drank it. "It's impossible to exercise." Glancing at Saki, Ron closed his eyelids and continued lazily. "It's not like you don't know about my situation. Unless I find a powerful zone devil fruit, with my physical fitness, the more I exercise, the faster I will die. As for getting off the ship, Captain Saki said he would take care of me. How could he do such a thing?" Ron, a time traveler. He was born in the territory of the New World Whitebeard Pirates, but his physical condition was very weak because he was born prematurely. 3 months ago, his hometown was invaded by pirates. Thatch led the 4th team to come. Although the pirates were annihilated, everyone in the village except Ron was dead. In desperation, Saki chose to take Ron on board the ship and became an intern of the 4th team. However, because of his young age and frail health, even though he was an intern, the people in the 4th division took good care of him and did not let him do any physical work at all. "You kid." He glanced at Ron helplessly, and Sage knew that what the latter said was true. He knew this 3 months ago. Ron passed out immediately after just half an hour of running exercise. Even under the treatment of doctors, it took a week to barely revive Ron. According to the doctor's diagnosis, Ron's body can only be compared to that of a 4 or 5-year-old child, and the meridians in his body are extremely fragile. Any strenuous exercise can be fatal, and there is no possibility of becoming a strong man. Thinking of this, Sachi said, "Zone, ancient species and fantasy beast species are too hard to find. The general zone devil fruit will also be collected by beasts pirates in the New World immediately. Is it still a big thing to get? But even though there is no zone devil fruit, I also helped you find a Paramecia this time." With that said, Thatch took out a silver-black devil fruit directly from his arms. It had a special pattern on it, and the pattern looked somewhat similar to a flower. "What kind of fruit is this?" Sitting up suddenly, Ron stared at the devil fruit in Sage's hand. "Paramecia though. But in essence, it can also enhance one's own physical fitness. If it is a powerful Paramecia fruit, it is very important to Ron. As a time traveler, he knows very well that strength is the foundation in this one-piece world. If his own strength is insufficient, then with the death of Thatch and the death of Whitebeard in the future, the entire Whitebeard Pirate Group will fall apart. And such a thing is not far away, because last month, Ace, the captain of the Spade Pirates, had already joined the Whitebeard Pirates. Although he is not the captain of the 2nd team yet, according to Ron's understanding, the latter will take over in this year or so. At that time, Sage will encounter Dark Fruit, and finally encounter Blackbeard's sneak attack and death, which will trigger the follow-up. A series of events even triggered the final summit war. Advertisement, I don't know either. Grinning, Sachi shrugged and said, "I found this accidentally. I can only tell that it is Paramecia, but I don't know what the specific ability is. How about it, do you want to try it?" Saying that, Thatch looked at Ron expectantly. To be honest, Sage doesn't have the devil fruit ability, which makes this thing essentially valuable to him. There were even many people in the 4th division who wanted to become Esper, but he just took it out, and even got it in front of Ron's eyes. His thoughts were self-evident. Opening his mouth, Ron was about to agree. He knew that this was Sachi's intention, and he knew even more clearly that he had no choice if he wanted to become stronger. No matter what his ability is, at least after eating this Paramecia devil fruit, he can strengthen his physique and change his current weak body. Even if it is to return to the level of a normal person, that is enough. After all, as long as you can practice, it is possible to become stronger, or even become a strong man. This is Paramecia copy fruit. Suddenly, a surprised voice came from behind. Looking through the sound, it can be seen that Blackbeard Teach from the future is walking forward, his eyes fixed on the devil fruit in Ron's hand, and his possessive gaze cannot be concealed at all. Copy the fruit. Hearing this, Ron's pupils shrank. If it is really a copy of the fruit, its value will be too great. Especially when he felt the greedy look from Teach, he knew more clearly the role and value of this thing to himself. No, it must be eaten as soon as possible. Feeling excited, Ron said, "Thank you, Captain Sage." After saying that, he didn't give Thatch a chance to react, nor did he give Teach a chance to continue approaching from a distance, and bit the devil fruit without hesitation. Gouda. After swallowing the pulp in one gulp, a smile appeared on Ron's face. You ate him. At this time, Teach had also arrived, and looking at the devil fruit that Ron had taken a bite of, he felt bad. Although the copied fruit is not as good as the dark fruit he dreams of, it is still a top-level Paramecia, and even in a certain sense, it is extremely powerful. But he never expected that just because of his subconscious confusion and stagnation, Ron would already eat it. Teach, you came. At this time, Sachi also came to his senses and didn't have much regret. After all, he was the one who gave this fruit to Ron. Instead, he looked to the side curiously and said, Teach, you said this is the Paramecia copy fruit. Do you know its information? Is there anything special about this devil fruit? As soon as these words came out, Ron also raised his head and looked at Teach, his eyes full of curiosity. Yes, is there anything different about this copy fruit? Although he is a time traveler, Ron does not know the specific situation of the copying fruit. Just when he heard the word copy, he decided to eat it. After all, if he could copy the opponent's ability as he thought, then it would be extremely valuable to him. Chapter 2 The frustrated Teach chooses to copy the ability. Advertisement, I know something. Seeing Ron and Sachi's curious expressions, Teach couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth at this moment, feeling ultimate speechless and angry in his heart. Since you don't know, why don't you wait for me for a moment? Even if it only takes a moment, I can get this top-notch devil fruit. But the complaints in my heart are complaints. The copying fruit has been eaten, so he still has to hibernate and wait, waiting for the fruit he needs to appear. Wait, when the fruit I'm looking for appears, this ability will still be mine. Roaring in his heart, Teach looked honest on the surface. I have seen the contents of several devil fruit illustrated books. This replica fruit is an extremely special devil fruit. Whoever eats the copying fruit can become a copying person. If you find a user with abilities corresponding to devil fruit, you can copy and use his own abilities without any resistance from the other party. Hiss, hearing this, both Ron and Saki took a deep breath. Isn't it invincible to be able to copy his ability without the other party resisting? Haha, I made the right choice, it's exactly what I thought. The copying fruit is perfect for me. Ron couldn't hide the smile on his face. Although he had doubts before, he couldn't help but be excited when he really got Teach's approval. How many powerful devil fruits are there in the world of One Piece? Paramecia's shock fruit, lion fruit, soul fruit, weapon fruit. Logia's thunder fruit, lava fruit, frozen fruit, flash fruit. Zone's blue dragon form, Nika form, big mouth true god form. If so many devil fruit abilities were copied and mastered by oneself, wouldn't it be easy to reach the top of the world? Oh my god, Teach, you said it wrong. The ability to copy all fruits, is it really that powerful? Thatch was also horrified, and subconsciously looked at the fruit in Ron's hand, with a flash of pain in his eyes. If he had known that this copying fruit was so powerful, he would not have given it to Ron. After all, the ability to copy everything, if you eat it by yourself, then. Don't get too excited. Seeing this, Teach immediately interrupted. Theoretically, it is indeed possible to copy the fruit to this extent. But it also has limitations. This copying fruit can copy the abilities of up to 3 devil fruits in a lifetime, and the fruit's abilities are directly proportional to the development of its own fruit. In other words, even if you copy the top fruit ability, if you don't develop it yourself, it will be of no use and value. The development of the fruit's ability, in addition to one's own imagination, is more importantly about the strength of the body. If the body is insufficient, the power of the copied devil fruit will even become a drag, causing the already fragile body to be directly broken, or even die. Having said this, Teach glared at Ron again. After all, Ron's weakness is known to almost everyone in the 4th division. Even if he is strengthened a little by eating the copy fruit, it is a clear waste of the value of this fruit. Is that so? Ron frowned and looked a little ugly. Advertisement. It is not good news that there are such restrictions on copying fruits, and even copying the ability will cause a huge burden on oneself. Originally, he planned to directly copy Whitebeard's shock fruit and take off directly. Now it seems that if he copies the shock fruit, the backlash of his ability will be enough to kill him directly. Pity. Ron, you're too hasty. Although this fruit is powerful, it is not suitable for you. Sachi also sighed and spoke helplessly. After all, if it was true as Teach said, then this cloned fruit would definitely be reduced to mediocrity in Ron's hands. Captain Thatch. Hearing this, Ron came back to his senses, looked at Sage and said, "Actually, I already have an idea. If I can succeed, then my body will be able to quickly increase, even to the point where I will be no worse than you, Captain." Oh, hearing this, Saki and Teach both raised their heads and looked at Ron in surprise. I wonder what he had in mind to dare to say such arrogant words. It is not an easy matter to reach a point where the body is not inferior to that of Saki in a short period of time. Although Saki is only the captain of the 4th team, his own strength is also at the level of a genuine star. Even within Marine, he can rival the elite vice admiral. Any solution? Subconsciously asking, Sachi asked expectantly. Can I help you? Certainly. Grinning, Ron didn't show off, looked at Thatch and said, Captain Thatch, you and Captain Marco have a good relationship, right? Do you think there is a possibility that you can help me convince Captain Marco to let me copy his zone, bird fruit, phantasmal beast species, and phoenix form? The phoenix form is not only physically powerful, but also has a healing flame. If I can master it, I can use the healing flame to repair myself. Then I can improve quickly while exercising my body, even without what big disadvantages would there be. After saying that, Ron looked at Sage with bright eyes, full of expectation. This was his second choice to give up copying shock fruit after listening to Teach talk about the disadvantages of copying fruits. Looking at the Whitebeard Pirates, there are many special devil fruits, but the truly powerful ones are undoubtedly the shock fruit and the phoenix form. Although the destructive power of the phoenix is insufficient, its auxiliary capabilities are extremely powerful, and it can also transform into a phoenix and master the ability to fly. These two characteristics alone are enough to make Ron's heart flutter. As long as his body becomes completely stronger, then if he copies Whitebeard's shock fruit and has absolute destructive power, then… Good idea. Marco's abilities are a perfect match for you. And once this idea is really completed, if your body is strong enough in the future, you can even copy Dad's. Having said this, Sachi did not continue speaking, but his eyes became hot. Without any hesitation, Saki stood up directly and said, Ron, I'm going to contact Marco now. We are just about to go to Dad's place. I asked him to speed up and go there. Then we will try your idea. After saying that, Sage didn't hesitate and hurried to the cabin to get the phone bug. Seeing this, Ron breathed a sigh of relief. Sage agreed. In this case, all your ideas will be successful. Ron, however, before Ron could get excited, Teach suddenly said, first copy the phoenix form, and then copy the shock fruit. Your future potential is really unlimited. However, the copying fruit can copy the abilities of 3 devil fruits. Do you have any ideas about this third ability? Advertisement Chapter 3 Physical Improvement, Meeting Whitebeard for the first time. Advertisement not good. Teach is plotting against me. His pupils shrank, and Ron became nervous instantly. He ate the copying fruit first, knowing that he was already being targeted by Teach. After all, in the original novel, this guy once spied on Munch Munch fruit. This Munch Munch fruit is similar to a copying fruit. Although it cannot achieve the ultimate copying like a complex fruit, the Munch Munch fruit can also swallow all abilities and turn them into its own power. If this is targeted by Teach, Once he kills Thatch and takes the dark fruit in the future, he is afraid that his next target will be himself. However, under the circumstances at this moment, Ron also knew that he could not act too abruptly. Even if he has the copying fruit, it is of no value to Teach at this moment. Once he does it, he will definitely die. The most important thing is that in the original book, Teach has the ability to accurately capture fruits. Although there is no dark fruit yet, God knows if he can still use it against himself. When he thought of this, Ron immediately said, "That's really not the case. With Captain Marco's ability, my vitality will be extremely strong, and normal injuries can be repaired quickly. Combined with Dad's ability, my attack power is enough. As for the rest, I don't know, either. Don't know." Brother Teach, since you have read the Devil Fruit illustrated book, do you have any recommendations for powerful fruit abilities? After saying that, Ron looked directly at Teach, his eyes full of thirst for knowledge and curiosity. Teach had a panoramic view of this scene. The corner of his mouth raised slightly. Teach patted Ron on the shoulder, and then said, "This third devil fruit is still too far away for you. But since you have Zone and Paramecia's goals, your third devil fruit should be Logia. Marine's 3 admirals are all Logia-capable users. If they are strong enough, then there is really hope and possibility of replicating them. Okay, you can develop your ability to copy the fruit. We'll leave first. When you can carry the ability of the third devil fruit, come to me to discuss it." After saying that, Teach did not linger, turned around and left with a smile. Everything seemed so harmonious, just like the gentleness of the big brother next door. "Logia?" Looking at Teach's leaving figure, Ron murmured in his mouth, but he couldn't help complaining in his heart. "Are you looking for me then? I'm afraid you have left the Whitebeard Pirates long ago. Now that I'm looking for you, should I hunt you down or follow you and betray the Whitebeard Pirates? Dark fruit, I hope to show up later, otherwise, if I don't have enough strength, I'm afraid I won't be able to protect Saki." Thinking of this, Ron didn't hesitate. He closed his eyes and began to feel the unique ability of the copy fruit in his body, as well as the changes in himself at this moment. About 5 minutes later, Ron opened his eyes and said excitedly, "Recovered. My physique has recovered. Although it is only at the level of ordinary people, it will not be as fragile as before. Now I can completely strengthen myself through daily training. If I gain the ability of the Phoenix Fruit, my strong recovery power will allow me to break my limits and continuously strengthen my body." In an instant, Ron stood up excitedly. "I threw away the fishing rod, ran to the deck and started running, doing push-ups, squats, long jumps and other exercises." 3 hours later, Ron lay on the deck exhausted. He was panting constantly, and his body was extremely tired, but he no longer had the feeling of being broken or exploding like before. Ha ha ha. For a moment, Ron couldn't hold back his laughter any longer. Advertisement he can finally practice, and with the ability to copy the fruit, he will have a place in the world of One Piece in the future, and even reach the top of the world. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. During these 3 days, Ron trained crazily every day to continuously strengthen his body. Coupled with the blessing of the power of Devil Fruit, his strength directly improved to the ensign stage. According to the strength of the Marine, Corporal, Sergeant, Staff Sergeant, Ensign, Lieutenant Junior Grade, Captain, Major, Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel, Commodore, Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, Elite Vice Admiral, General Star, Quasi-Admiral, Royal Vice Admiral, Admiral, 4 Emperors. Each stage is divided into early stage, middle stage and late stage. Early Ensign, although he is still weak, he has some ability to protect himself. After completing training again, Ron went to the restaurant to eat and replenish his strength, but he was extremely satisfied inside. 3 days ago he couldn't even do anything to people of his own age, but in just 3 days he has already reached the early stage of Ensign. Although it is largely due to the enhanced effect of Devil Fruit, there is no doubt that he still has some talent when his physical problems are solved. Ron! At this time, a cry came. Following the sound, Saki could be seen coming in a hurry. Soon, he arrived at Ron's side and said hurriedly, "You guys are still eating. Get ready, we are about to arrive at Dad's island. I have already contacted Marco. He is waiting for you on the Moby DK. Besides, the other captains are also here, and everyone wants to see how good your ability is at copying the fruit. Reached, his eyes lit up, and Ron's breathing quickened. The ability of the phoenix fruit is extremely important to him. In the past few days, he only exercised for 3 or 4 hours a day but did not dare to continue. Due to continuous exercise, the body will gradually become exhausted and even approach saturation. Once you exercise excessively, it will inevitably accumulate in the body and become hidden injuries and diseases. But once you master the ability of the phoenix fruit and combine it with the power of the healing fire, you can eliminate such hidden injuries and extend your daily exercise time. I understand, Captain Thatch. After swallowing a piece of meat, Ron stood up quickly and said, "Let's go, I can't wait any longer." With that said, he pulled Saki and hurried towards the outside world. "You kid, you know how to be anxious now. Haha, you are worthy of being a member of my 4th team. Let's go and shock those Marco guys. When you grow up, my 4th team will be the strongest." Not long after, the ships of Division 4 docked at an island. Immediately afterwards, Thatch took Ron, Teach and others and hurried towards the Moby DK. Without any obstacles, Ron and his team arrived on the Moby DK very quickly. The first time Ron saw the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Where he was sitting, although he exuded the aura of an overlord, only the bits and pieces hanging beside him announced that the world's strongest man was old and old. Chapter 4 Copying Zone Bird Fruit Phantom Beast Species Phoenix Form. Advertisement. No wonder Teach ran away immediately after getting the dark fruit. Given the relationship between Sachi and Teach, Sachi will definitely give the dark fruit to Teach if he asks for it. But he still chose to kill Thatch and escape, not only because of his own ambition, but more importantly because Whitebeard was old. If the person sitting here was Whitebeard who was 20 years younger, no, 10 years younger, I'm afraid Teach wouldn't even have the guts to kill someone, grab the fruit, and run away. Feeling emotional, Ron looked around. You can see that all 16 division captains under Whitebeard are gathered here. Marco, the captain of the 1st team, Ace, the future captain of the 2nd team, Josie, the captain of the 3rd team, Beasta, the captain of the 5th team, Bramink, the captain of the 6th team, Rakyo, the captain of the 7th team, and Na, the captain of the 8th team. Muir, Captain Blenheim of Division 9. The captain of the 10th Division, Kuriel, the captain of the 11th Division, Jingudo, the captain of the 12th Division, Harda, the captain of the 13th Division, Atmos, the 14th Division captain, Spadokir, the 15th Division captain. Team Captain Fosa, Team 16 Captain Izo. At this moment, they were also looking at Saki and others, but their focus was also on Ron. Sachi had reported it before. There is a new member of the 4th team, and he ate a special cloning fruit and became a clone. This time I came here to copy Marco's phoenix fruit ability. Dad. At this time, Sage, Ron and others had arrived at the area in front of Whitebeard, kneeling on one knee to salute. Dad, Captain. At the same time, Teach, Ron and others also saluted. Within the Whitebeard Pirates, only the squad leader and a very small number of people recognized by Whitebeard can call him Dad, while the rest call him Captain. Get up, Saki, since when have you become so well behaved? On his seat, Whitebeard laughed, glanced at Thatch, and then looked at Ron and said, "Is this the new guy in your 4th team?" "Yes, Dad." Nodding, Saki stood up with the others. Immediately afterwards, he directly pulled Ron forward and said, "I met Ron when I went to annihilate the invaders. His hometown and relatives were all killed, so I took him into the 4th Division. But this kid is too weak. I just happened to get another devil fruit and gave it to him to eat. I didn't expect it to be a special replica fruit. But this little guy's physique has just returned to normal levels, so I hope he can copy Marco's ability and give him the ability of the Phoenix to completely change his situation." As soon as these words came out, everyone around them nodded. Sachi had told them this information before. But at this moment, Chaozi and others couldn't help but ask, "Can you really copy other people's abilities? After copying, will it have any impact on Marco? Can this little guy copy Marco's abilities now?" When asked, Saki and Ron were a little unsure. After all, the strength of Ron and Marco is very different, and they don't know whether it will affect the owner of the original ability after copying. Teach, at this time, Sachi seemed to have thought of something, turned to look behind him and said, "Didn't you see the illustration of the copying fruit? Are there any sequelae or effects of this copying?" As soon as these words came out, the eyes of everyone present turned to where Teach was. Including Whitebeard on the main seat is no exception. Team leader. Seeing this situation, Teach's heart tightened. Although he is in the Whitebeard Pirates, he has always kept a low profile. It is not a good thing to be stared at like this. For a moment, he couldn't think about anything else and said quickly, "It won't have any impact. The picture book I accidentally saw said that if the copy is successful, it will not have any impact on the person being copied. As for the gap in strength, if Captain Marco completely lets down his guard and resists, there will be no situation that cannot be replicated." Hearing this, Ron breathed a sigh of relief. Advertisement. Fine. Fortunately, there were no side effects. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to copy the phoenix fruit, let alone the shock fruit in the future. Cool lala. In that case, what are you waiting for? The master sat down, Whitebeard laughed loudly, looked down and said, "Marco, come on. Let us also experience the power of this so-called copying fruit." "Yes, Dad." With a promise, Marco immediately walked out of the crowd. After saluting Whitebeard, he walked up to Ron and said with a smile on his face, "Little Ron, come on. I will absolutely cooperate with you. Copy my ability to activate you." "Thank you, Captain Marco." Taking a deep breath, Ron looked at Marco excitedly and gratefully, and after bowing deeply to him, he stepped forward, touched Marco's arm, and said, "Copy." The next second, the white light shines brightly. Ron and Marco were immediately surrounded, and a special aura quietly filled the air. Copy successfully. Close black lens bracket. Successfully opened the copy panel. Close black lens bracket. After a long time, a virtual module appeared in front of Ron's eyes. This is. With a raised brow, Ron's eyes showed a hint of surprise. This thing looks a bit like a property panel no matter how you look at it. But I don't have cheat. Is this the effect after copying the fruit? Enable replication module. Subconsciously, Ron thought to himself. Immediately afterwards, the copy panel appeared in front of Ron. Open black lens bracket. Ron close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Age 14 close black lens bracket. Strength. Early stage of ensign. Devil fruit. Copy fruit 10%. Copying ability. Zone bird fruit phantom beast species phoenix fruit 10%. Number of copies available. 0. Note. Devil fruit's ability development can be increased by 30% for one copy. When it reaches 100% development, it can be awakened. The number of copies can be increased by 2 times, and the ability of the copied fruit can be awakened at the same time. Close black lens bracket. Success. This is the essence of replicating fruit. Seeing this, Ron smiled. He knew that the information given by Teach was wrong. According to the information on the copied panel, he has already copied once, but has not used the number of development acquisitions before reaching it. This also means that when the development degree reaches 30%, 60%, or 90%, you can still get one copy count, and you can even increase it twice after awakening. This also means that if he develops it to the point of awakening, he can still copy it 5 times, or at least 4 times. It's not at all what Teach said. It can only be copied 3 times in a lifetime, and the ability to copy cannot be awakened. Buzz. At this moment, the white light surrounding him and Marco dissipated. The next second, a group of squad captains came forward, talking all over the place. How was it successful? Little Ron, have you finished copying? Little Ron, have you mastered the power of the phoenix fruit? Little Ron. Chapter 5 The invitation from the team captains, Whitebeard's recognition. Advertisement. At this moment, more than a dozen division captains were all staring at Ron, their eyes full of curiosity and expectation. Including Marco and Whitebeard in the main seat are no exception. After all, this is the ability to copy. If it can really be completed, even if it can only be copied 3 times, the value will be extremely huge. Success. After coming back to his senses, Ron raised his head and looked at Sachi and said, "Captain Sachi, I succeeded." I have mastered the power of the phoenix fruit. With that said, Ron raised his hand, and then a ball of blue healing fire appeared in his hand. It's truly Marco's healing fire. It really worked. Oh my god, this copying fruit is too powerful. Quote. At this moment, the captains and crew members around him could not help but cheer. Everyone was surprised by the healing fire in Ron's hands, and even felt excitement and joy from the bottom of their hearts. For nothing else. Since the phoenix fruit can be copied, Whitebeard's shock fruit can also be copied. Many people were excited when they thought of this. One Whitebeard suppressed the sea. If a shock fruit appears, what will the strength of the Whitebeard Pirates be? Thinking of this, Marco and the others looked at Ronu with burning eyes and said, "Little Ron, do you want to come to my squad? Little Ron, come to our 3rd division, I will make you the vice captain. Little Ron, my 13th division is suitable for you. Come to my team and I will give you the position of vice captain." Quote. In an instant, Marco and others started to offer Ron an olive branch. A player with such potential is a huge temptation for anyone. Hole. Do you think I'm dead? Get out of here, Ron is a member of my 4th team. Quote. Roaring in anger, Saki came to his senses and quickly pulled Ron behind him, glaring at Marco and the others. Ahem. Seeing the angry Saki, Marco and others on the side also coughed in embarrassment. They were too excited. Otherwise, I wouldn't poach publicly on this occasion. Of course, such a thing should be done privately. By then, it will be done and it will be impossible for Sachi to stop it. Thank you very much for your love, captains. At this time, Ron stepped forward. After looking at Marco and others, I didn't know what they were thinking. But he would not choose to leave the 4th division. After all, if it weren't for Saki, he would have died at the hands of the invading pirates and would not have been able to obtain this powerful copying fruit. Thinking of this, Ron immediately saluted and said, "I was saved by Captain Thatch. Without Captain Thatch, I would have died long ago, and it would be impossible to obtain the copying fruit, so I will only be a member of the 4th team in the future." Hearing this, a trace of disappointment suddenly flashed in the eyes of Marco and others. After all, the poaching failed, and he was sternly rejected by me, so it would be impossible for them to win over him in the future. But just for a moment, Marco and others were recognized and appreciated. No matter what, Ron's character of repaying kindness cannot be ignored. Being able to repay kindness, even though they cannot join their own squad, everyone is still a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. Cool lala. At this time, Whitebeard, who was sitting in the main seat, laughed loudly. Advertisement. He seemed to agree with Ron's words and immediately said, "Little Ron, are you willing to carry my name and travel the world?" As soon as these words came out, everyone who was still noisy suddenly became quiet. Whitebeard's words were not just appreciation, but more importantly, he wanted to accept Ron as his adopted son. They have also experienced these things, and they know better how much Dad values Ron. Ron is willing. Without hesitation, Ron stepped forward and agreed without hesitation. White Group. They are definitely second only to the Straw Hat Pirates in popularity in the One Piece world. Compared to the intrigues of the other pirate groups, only the Straw Hat Pirates can remain partners. The Whitebeard Pirates do have traitors, but their flaws are not concealed. Especially Whitebeard. There is no doubt about his charisma. For his son's daring to declare war on Marine, even though he knew he would die, he still chose to cut off the situation and buy time for his pirate group to evacuate. The most important thing is that his life was saved by Sachi, and it was Bai Tuan who protected him. Otherwise, he would have died tragically long ago. Okay. After receiving Ron's reply, Whitebeard laughed loudly again. Immediately afterwards, he stood up from his seat and said, "Okay, from now on Ron is my Whitebeard's son. Carry my name and travel around the world. I look forward to the day when you reach the top of the world. Children, let's have a party. Welcome little Ron." As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. "Welcome brother Ron to join us. Welcome brother Ron to join us." Quote. Under a burst of cheers, countless meat, wine, fruits and vegetables were put on the boat, and a group of people celebrated happily. In the following time, Ron became the star of the party. The squad captains took turns to join the battle, and after drinking countless drinks, Ron soon fell into a drunken stupor. This scene immediately caused everyone to laugh. However, no one disturbed Ron, and they continued to eat and drink after they dispersed. It hurts, it hurts. The next afternoon, Ron woke up slowly, shaking his head and feeling extremely painful. The first time he got drunk, this made him extremely uncomfortable. After sitting for a while, he finally regained his composure. After briefly washing up, Ron opened the door and walked out, found the kitchen, quickly made some food and started to fill his stomach. Ron. At this time, a cry came from behind. Looking through the sound, it can be seen that Saki is striding towards him, and there is a young figure in the area next to him. Madara has black curly hair, a tit on her face, a cowboy hat, her upper body is bare, and a huge tattoo mark of the Whitebeard Pirates can be seen on her back. Surprisingly, the person who followed Saki was Fire Fist Ace, one of the culprits who would cause the Summit War in the future. Captain Thatch. Seeing this, Ron said hello quickly, but his movements did not stop. Continuously putting food into his mouth to restore himself, he vaguely felt that his strength had improved again. I don't know if it's because he has begun to integrate the ability of the Phoenix Fruit, but his physical fitness has obviously improved a lot. Haha, you guys were so bad yesterday. Walking forward with a laugh, Thatch and Ace sat down next to Ron. Immediately afterwards, the two of them picked up the food and started eating without hesitation, and said at the same time, "By the way, Ron, do you want to go out to sea for adventure?" Chapter 6 Invitation to Go to Sea, Enhanced Version of Marine 6 Styles. Advertisement. Going to sea. Adventure. Hearing this, Ron was stunned. He had just completed copying the ability of the Phoenix Fruit. Now he was in the stage of continuous cultivation and becoming stronger. Why did he choose to take risks and go to sea? But looking at the looks on Sage and Ace's faces, they seemed to want him to go together, which made him even more confused. Captain Thatch. Subconsciously, Ron asked, "I have just completed the copying of the fruit's ability, and I am not very strong myself. If I go to sea rashly, it seems that it will not be able to have any effect." Hearing this, Saki and Ace nodded. As Ron said, he currently does not have enough strength to go overseas. After all, he had just completed copying the Phoenix Fruit, and he had not yet reached a certain level of development of his own fruit's abilities. We know. However, Sachi did not give up, but said, "There is no danger in going to sea this time. This time it is because of the invasion of the poisonous wolf pirates. It happens to be in the jurisdiction bordering the 2nd Division and the 4th Division. When the time comes, people from the 2 divisions will act together. So if you go there, you won't be in any danger. Instead, you can train yourself. Ace and I will protect you." At this point, Saki hesitated for a moment, and then continued, "The most important thing is that the captain of the Poison Wolf Pirates is a Paramecia poisonous gas fruit-capable person, and his poisonous gas is extremely difficult to deal with. You have copied Marco's ability, and now you have mastered the healing fire. You should be able to help us deal with a lot of unnecessary troubles by then." I see. Hearing this, Ron suddenly understood. He didn't understand why the two men insisted on letting him follow them. The co-author is because his healing fire can restrain the poisonous gas, or it may be used to treat people who are invaded by the poisonous gas. As the alternate captain of the 2nd team and the captain of the 4th team, it was naturally impossible for them to ask Marco for help because of the invasion of a pirate group and let him go with them. I see. Understanding the reason, Ron did not refuse at this moment. After all, not only Saki was very kind to him, but also the people in the 4th team were very kind to him. Going there by yourself is just to treat people, and there is essentially no great danger. Very good. Both Saki and Ace were overjoyed to receive Ron's reply. With Ron joining, this matter will be much simpler, and the losses will be reduced a lot by then. Thinking of this, Sachi suddenly said, "Then this matter is settled. Then you have a good rest, we will set off early tomorrow morning." After saying that, Saki didn't linger and walked directly towards the outside world with Ace. Seeing this situation, Ron was extremely indifferent. He continued to eat, but he also fell into thinking in his heart. According to the current situation, the relationship between Ace and Saki should have begun to deepen. In this way, it won't be long before Saki will get the dark fruit that can change the world. When Blackbeard takes action, he has no ability to stop him. In addition, Blackbeard is also interested in copying fruits. I am afraid that in addition to attacking Thatch, he will also become his target. Become stronger. Advertisement. I have to get stronger faster. I'm too weak now, I have to become stronger. At this moment, Ron's heart was filled with a strong sense of urgency. After eating for a while, after he was back to normal, Ron quickly came to the deck and started exercising frantically. Not surprisingly. Because it replicates the ability of the phoenix fruit, the effect of the healing fire is extremely powerful. In the past, exercising for 3 or 4 hours a day was already the limit, but now with the help of the power of the healing fire, he continued the high-intensity training for more than 7 hours before returning to his residence exhausted. Early the next morning, the ships of the 4th Division and the 2nd Division left Whitebeard's base camp. Ron! Ron! At this moment, a cry came and woke up Ron from his sleep. Struggling to sit up from the bed, Ron rubbed his eyes and said, "Who is it?" As he spoke, he stepped forward and opened the door. However, as soon as the door opened, a hand grabbed Ron and led him towards the outside world, saying excitedly, "Ron, come on, let me show you something good." Surprisingly, the person coming was Saki. However, Saki looked extremely excited at this moment, like a brown bear who had stolen honey. Under such circumstances, Ron was quickly dragged to his room by Thatch, and upon entering, he saw Ace among them. But at this moment, Ace was staring directly at a book on the table in front of him. He seemed a little moved, but also a little hesitant and entangled. "Captain Thatch. Ace. This is what you are doing." Looking at this scene, Ron asked in confusion. After all, Sake dragged him here so early in the morning and said there were some good things, so don't let anyone wonder. Haha. Grinning, Sage quickly closed the door, and then whispered, "Ron, what a good thing. After we left last night, Ace and I went to have a drink with Beasta. As a result, the guy lost the bet with us and gave us the loot he got this time." With that said, Sage pointed to the books on the table and said, "This is Marine 6 Styles. No, it should be said to be an enhanced version of Marine 6 Styles. This guy Beasta got it by intercepting a world government rear admiral not long ago. It is an extremely powerful physical skill. Once you master it, especially the sea moonwalk, it will be of great benefit to you and Ace. You can completely ensure that you will not fall into the sea. Enhanced version of Marine 6 Styles. World government." His pupils shrank, and Ron's breathing quickened. In the world of One Piece, devil fruit, haki, taijutsu and swordsmanship are the mainstream of the world. Among them, swordsmanship relies on talent. Only those with extraordinary talent can become a swordsman, a great swordsman, and perform it to the ultimate level. Needless to say, devil fruit's various strange abilities are enough to make a person undergo earth-shaking changes, such as Ron. Not long ago, he thought it was due to premature birth that his body was not as weak as a 6-year-old child, but just by eating the devil fruit, his body reached the level of his peers. With the ability to copy the phoenix fruit, his body became even stronger. It is far beyond that of his peers. Haki is a must-have ability for every strong person, but unfortunately it is very difficult to awaken Conqueror's Haki, and it is not something that ordinary people can master casually. If innate awakening is not possible, then only after the strength reaches the general level, acquired training can be carried out to stimulate the knowledge and weapon color. Then Conqueror's is innate. If it is there, it will be there, and if it is not, it will not be there. There is no acquired ability. Chapter 7. Tips on Ace. Learn the enhanced version of the 6 moves. Advertisement. Finally, there is physical training. It is also the most popular and mainstream method in the world. In the absence of devil fruit abilities, haki and swordsmanship, only physical skills are the best way to train one's body. Even if only physical skills are performed to the ultimate level, they can become the world's top powerhouses, such as Garp, Zephyr, and Kong. These are all famous taijutsu masters. The combination of taijutsu and haki has suppressed more than one era. There is no doubt that the one with the most complete bodybuilding system in the world is the world government and its marine and army. Marine 6 styles. They were developed by people who are masters of physical arts. They are shave, tempest kick, moonwalk, paper arts, iron body and gun finger. In addition, there are 6 styles, which are divided into 6 king spears for main attack and life recovery for main recovery. It can be said that even if you have nothing, you can become a strong person who is not weak by integrating Marine 6 styles and mysteries. And now what Saki has brought back is an enhanced version of Marine 6 styles belonging to world government. This enhanced version of Marine 6 styles is an advanced version of Marine 6 styles. It exerts greater power and is more powerful for self-training. And this thing, for Ron who has mastered the healing fire at this moment, is simply a help in times of need. Once you learn the enhanced version of Marine 6 styles, you can fully develop your potential, improve your physique, and enhance your combat power. Captain Thatch. After swallowing, Ron looked at Saki and said, "Such a treasure, can I practice?" "Certainly." Hearing this, Sachi said without hesitation, "If you don't practice, what will I do to you? It's just that this game is not popular. Otherwise, I would like everyone in the 4th team to learn it. If it's just 1.5 moves of Marine 6 styles, that's it. But if it's revealed that we have mastered the enhanced version of Marine 6 styles, or even learned it on a large scale, the world government will never give up. Although we have Dad's protection, we can't cause him too much trouble. If the world government is really determined to start a war, the losses to the Whitebeard Pirates will be huge." As soon as these words came out, Ace immediately recognized him. As Sage said, "This thing is a good thing, but it also has great hidden dangers. Then let's practice." In this regard, Ron said without hesitation, "Now that I have obtained it, if I don't practice, I will be sorry for myself." The enhanced version of Marine 6 styles, once mastered, our strength will be greatly improved. As for exposure, as long as it's not all exposed directly, the worst case scenario is that you'll be beaten to death if you don't admit it. Dad is the most powerful man in the world. Even if the world government and Marine know about it, what if we don't spread it on a large scale? They won't dare to do anything to us blatantly. Good. That's what I think. Nodding, Saki patted Ron on the shoulder in approval. He had the same idea. If it were just Marine 6 styles, he probably wouldn't take the chance. But there is no doubt about the power of this enhanced version of Marine 6 styles. Even within the world government system, only those who have reached Vice Admiral, or even Elite Vice Admiral, are qualified to learn these things. Thinking of this, Thatch looked at Ace and said, "Ace, what about you? Have you made a decision?" Ace opened his mouth, a little confused. After all, his grandfather is Garp. If he secretly learns the enhanced version of Marine 6 styles, Ace will really be at a loss when facing Garp. Ace. However, how could Ron not know what he was thinking? Advertisement. As a time traveler, one of the most uncomfortable moments for Ron was when Ace was killed. The majestic Mara Mara fruit is actually the lower fruit of Lava Lava fruit. This is outrageous. What is the maximum temperature of magma? The maximum temperature of the flame can reach the level of the sun's flame. In the final analysis, it is still Ace's insufficient development of his own fruit abilities, and his own lack of strength. Otherwise, let alone Akainu, even Blackbeard is not without the strength to fight. Thinking of this, Ron suddenly said, "Although you are not from the 4th team, there are some things I still want to say. Dad asked you to join the 2nd division, do you know what this means?" "What does it mean?" Hearing this, Ace and Saki asked subconsciously. Then, they all looked at Ron, their eyes full of curiosity. Obviously, even Saki didn't see the clues. Captain of the 2nd Division. Without giving away, Ron said straightforwardly, "The captain of the 2nd Division has left in the early years. For so many years, the 2nd Division has not had a captain, and you were appointed as the deputy captain as soon as you came up. Don't you know why? Dad values your potential and future. If you become stronger quickly, have enough strength and complete the test, then you can become the true captain of the 2nd team, and even the rest of the Whitebeard Pirates. No one will have any objections, and no one will say behind your back that you got to the position with the help of Dad's favor." As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell silent. Thatch suddenly understood, while Ace was thoughtful. At this moment, under Ron's request, the two of them immediately understood Whitebeard's good intentions. Dad, especially Ace, with tears in his eyes at this moment, said, I didn't expect that Dad would value me so much. I will never let Dad down. Saki, I'm willing to learn this stuff. Okay. Hearing this, Sachi also laughed. He walked up and patted Ace on the shoulder and said, That's right, brother Ace. Since Dad values you so much, you should work harder to become stronger. Brother, I really look forward to the day when you become the captain of the 2nd Division. As he spoke, Sachi unceremoniously opened the enhanced version of Marine 6 Style's secret book and said, Come, let's take a look together. After memorizing it as quickly as possible, I will put this thing away and give it to Dad. The value of this item is also huge to our Whitebeard Pirates. Good. Ron and Ace agreed, but did not refuse. Immediately the three of them began to watch and memorize carefully. Enhanced version of Marine 6 Styles. As the name suggests, it is an advanced version of Marine 6 Styles. Guns, Shunpo, Sea Moonwalk, Steel Block, Flying Paper Arts and Arashi Fengji. In addition, this secret book also records the secret of Marine 6 Styles and the cultivation method of life return. In just half an hour, Ron and the three of them memorized all the contents. After looking at each other, Sachi asked, Remember? I remember it too. Nodding, Saki put away the secret book and said, If so, I will put it away. Next, we'll practice separately. If there's anything we don't understand, let's talk to each other. Chapter 8 Introduction to Shunpo, Mara Fruit Breaks Poison Gas. Advertisement. Time flies, and a week passes in the blink of an eye. Shunpo. On the deck, Ron's figure swayed and appeared in an area more than 10 meters away in the blink of an eye. As he took steps again and again, his figure appeared in various areas of the deck from time to time. It lasted for 3 minutes before Ron stopped his movements and stood at the bow of the ship, holding on to the railing and gasping, hoo. I'm exhausted. Shunpo's consumption is really worth it. Even I can only last 3 minutes before my energy is exhausted. But fortunately, within a week, I successfully trained Shunpo to the basic level. I have mastered a life-saving skill. Having said this, a smile appeared on Ron's face. For 7 days, he practiced Shunpo almost all the time. Just like him now, just 3 minutes of practice is enough to compare with the previous day's hard practice. And every time after his physical strength is exhausted, he will deliberately extend the performance of Shunpo once or twice to forcefully squeeze out his own potential. Although it will cause hidden diseases, with the healing fire of the Phoenix's ability, this hidden disease can be repaired in just 1 night. On the contrary, his body is growing almost every day. In just 7 days, his current strength has reached the level of captain. If he continues to practice for a period of time, he is sure to reach the school level stage in a short time, and then his strength will make a significant leap. In addition, the improvement of his own strength has also led to the improvement of Ron's development of Devil Fruit's abilities. The original development level of 10% has now been increased to 15%. This also resulted in the Phoenix Fruit's healing fire being more powerful in healing, and he also successfully developed the Phoenix Fruit's second ability, Blue Flame. Although Qing Yan looks similar to healing fire, it is also obviously different. Healing fire is an auxiliary ability that can heal injuries, but Qing Yan is also a true flame and is one of the means of attack. However, due to insufficient development, the temperature of Qing Yan is only over 200 degrees at the moment, which cannot pose a threat to some powerful beings, but ordinary people cannot withstand the burning of Qing Yan. The most important thing is the ability as a fantasy beast species. When Ron developed Qing Yan, he consciously increased its density. This also leads to the great development potential of his Qing Yan in the future, and even the possibility of merging with other flames. Mara Fruit. I don't know if I confuse the flames of Mara Fruit as Qing Yan. Although the temperature of Ace's Mara Fruit is not very high, it is much higher than that of my Qing Yan. If Qing Yan can inherit the Mara Fruit, the temperature should be able to reach 800 degrees. Having said this, Ron couldn't help but curl his lips. To be honest, he disagreed with the settings in One Piece. The maximum temperature of Mara fruit is lower than that of lava fruit, while the minimum temperature of Akainu's magma is 900 degrees Celsius and the maximum is 1300 degrees Celsius. This also resulted in Mara fruit not being at the ultimate level that he knew the flame should reach. On the contrary, there are unconventional existences such as molten fruit and hot fruit, whose temperature even surpasses the Logia lava fruit with the strongest attack power. That's all, don't worry about these things anymore. When you get to your destination, ask Ace for some flames to try. If it can really increase the temperature and destructive power of my Qingyan, it's not just the power of Mara fruit, but also lava fruit, molten fruit, and hot fruit. It's not impossible to try it. After shaking his head, Ron recovered a little, turned around and walked towards the kitchen. After Ron had eaten and drank enough, a voice from the outside came. Attention, everyone, we have arrived at the waters of Partridge Island and are about to enter it. The members of the poisonous wolf pirates are still here, be careful of their sneak attack. As soon as these words came out, the dozen or so pirate ships of Division 4 all cheered. Advertisement. Ron also walked out of the kitchen and immediately saw Saki standing in the bow area. Captain Thatch. With a shout, Ron immediately stepped forward. Brother Ron, you are here. Seeing Ron's arrival, Saki laughed and said, how is your training going? You have been training on the deck these days. In order to keep it secret, I moved most of the people to other ships. Already started. Grinning, Ron said without hiding it, getting started with Shunpo, I can maintain high-intensity movement for 3 minutes. According to my estimation, even a Commodore-level enemy won't be able to catch me activating Shunpo. Okay. Hearing this, Saki smiled even more. After all, it was a bit dangerous for Ron to follow him this time. Even if they have their own protection, no one knows the specific situation of the Poison Wolf Pirates. Now that Ron has mastered Shunpo, and can do it to such a level, protecting his own life is definitely not a problem. No, Captain Saki has poisonous gas. Suddenly, a cry rang out. Suddenly, the conversation between Ron and Saki came to an abrupt end. Looking up, you can see that over Partridge Island at this moment, a large purple mist is spreading towards the sea area. After the mist came into contact with the sea, it directly poisoned some fish on the water, and even the corpses were corroded. Damn the poisonous wolf pirates. Seeing this situation, Sachi's face darkened, and his whole mood was bad. He and others were attacked by poisonous gas before they landed. If this affected the ships, the 4th Squadron would definitely suffer heavy losses. No, not just the 4th team. Including the situation of the 2nd Division not far away, I'm afraid it won't be too good either. Fire punch. At this moment, a low roar sounded. The next second, red light illuminated the heaven and earth. With a huge fire fist condensing, he rushed into the poisonous mist ahead without hesitation. Rumble. Rumble. In an instant, the sea exploded, and Logia's destructive power was revealed. The terrifying flames burned, the sea water was separated, and the poisonous gas in the air was evaporated in an instant. The area in front of the 2nd and 4th squads directly revealed a path leading to Partridge Island, Flame Channel. It's Ace. Vice Captain Ace is mighty. Fire Fist Ace lives up to his reputation. This is the power of Logia, it is too powerful. Quote. For a time, countless cheers resounded from the ships of the 2nd Division and the 4th Division. Logia's power is truly earth-shaking, and the destructive power of that fire fist can be called a natural disaster. Chapter 9 Arriving at Partridge Island, the war breaks out. Advertisement. Brother Saki, let's go. At this time, Ace had landed on the bow of a ship not far away, and immediately shouted to Thatch. Good. After coming back to his senses, Sachi immediately waved his hand and said, well done, Brother Ace. So we speed up to enter Partridge Island, destroy the poisonous wolf pirates and let them know the consequences of provoking my Whitebeard pirates. Yes. In response to the sound, the pirate ships suddenly accelerated their speed and flew towards Partridge Island. Along the way, with Ace's flames opening the way, the so-called poisonous gas could not get close to the ships of the 2nd and 4th Divisions, and it was even less likely to pose a threat to the Whitebeard pirates among them. As expected of Logia. Seeing that the poison gas could not break through the flames, Saki breathed a sigh of relief at this moment, and then sighed. Brother Ace's Mara fruit is really powerful. Ron, do you want to have the power of Mara fruit too? Although you can copy shock fruit, according to Teach, you can only copy it 3 times. It would also be good to choose Logia then. Hearing this, Ron smiled lightly. Mara fruit. The dogs won't eat it. In the later stages of One Piece, fire abilities have almost become standard. Unless this Mara fruit can break the settings and cause the temperature to rise, or copy him, it is better to run to Enel. After all, Thunder Fruit's upper limit is definitely far beyond what Mara fruit can match. Thinking of this, Ron said, Captain Sage is joking, Mara fruit is good, but my target is Dad's shock fruit. As for whether I should choose Logia for the 3rd devil fruit, I'm not sure yet. After all, Captain Marco's Phoenix ability also has fire. With that said, Ron stretched out his hand, and a ball of blue flame appeared in his hand. This is Marco's blue flame. Seeing the thing in Ron's hand, Saki perked up and said with some joy, Ron, your fruit development has improved. This is Qing Yan that can attack, and after Marco developed it, he is not afraid of the burning of Mara fruit. Not afraid of Mara fruit. Sure enough, this Mara fruit is a trap. Whispering in his heart, Ron did not express it, but solemnly said, as Captain Thatch said, if I develop Qingyan to a level similar to Captain Marco, I will be able to control Qingyan on a large scale to carry out attacks. The effect of the ability has some overlap with Mara fruit. Even if I choose Logia, I may not choose Mara fruit as my 3rd copied ability. Hearing this, Saki nodded. As Ron said, there is some overlap in the power of Mara fruit and Phoenix Flame. And Teach also said before that copying fruits cannot allow the copied abilities to complete their awakening. In this case, Mara fruit is indeed not his best choice. Here we are. Captain Sage, the members of the Poison Wolf Pirates have gathered on the shore. At this time, a cry came. In an instant, Ron and Sachi's conversation ended again, and they looked up. It can be seen that dense numbers of figures have appeared in the bay area of the island not far away. The leader was about 40 years old, 3 meters tall, with dark brown hair all over his body. He was holding a mountain axe. From a distance, people could feel the pressure coming from a distance. Advertisement. Is that the captain of the Poison Wolf Pirates? Feeling the man's oppression, Ron spoke subconsciously. Good. Nodding, Saki said solemnly, the Poison Wolf, the captain of the Poison Wolf Pirates, has a bounty of 590 million. This guy is a zone, wolf fruit, 2-headed wolf form esper. Furthermore, this guy also masters Haki's knowledge color and weapon color. He is an extremely difficult existence. Having said this, Saki seemed to have thought of something, and pointed at a small figure covered in a black cloak next to Poison Wolf and said, but the most dangerous thing is not Poison Wolf, but the guy next to him, Poisonous Eye Virtue. This guy is the person with the poisonous gas fruit ability that I told you about before. He can make and control poisonous gas, which is a great threat to us. When the time comes, I will deal with Poisonous Wolf. Brother Ace will be responsible for dealing with Ed, and the rest of the pirates will be dealt with by the combat members of the 2 divisions. Just be ready for rescue in the rear area at any time. I see. Ron agreed and didn't try to show off. As a time traveler, he knew very well that he would be the first to hit the target, especially when his own strength was not strong. This is New World, not a paradise like East Blue or Grand Line. To be honest, the strength of a mere captain is not enough here. Young ones. Kill me. Kill those guys from the Poison Wolf Pirates. After a while, the ship arrived at Partridge Island. With Saki's order, the members of the 4th Squadron quickly disembarked and rushed forward. Everyone come together. Kill these guys who provoke the Whitebeard Pirates. At the same time, Ace is also leading the way. He jumped off the boat, raised his hand and used his fire fist to attack the Poison Wolf Pirates. Follow Vice Captain Ace and kill. Follow Vice Captain Ace and deal with those guys. Quote. At the same time, the members of the second division behind him also rushed forward as if they had been beaten to death. But in the blink of an eye, members of the Poison Wolf Pirates and Whitebeard's second and fourth teams were fighting together. As Sachi said before, he has already fought against Poisonous Wolf at this moment, and Ace has also found Ed to fight with him. Although the power of the poisonous gas fruit cannot be underestimated, every time the latter is produced and releases poisonous gas, it will be mercilessly burned and evaporated by Ace's Paramecia fruit before it even has time to spread. Under such circumstances, the fighting between the two sides also intensified, with many casualties occurring on both sides. At this moment, Ron was following a small team and quickly wandered to the edge of the battlefield, immediately bringing out those seriously injured members of the Whitebeard Pirates for treatment. It can be said that they are a medical team. Except for Ron, who relied on the power of the healing fire, the other dozen people were all doctors. Of course, there are more than a dozen combat members of the Whitebeard Pirates in the area next to them to protect them, ensuring that no one will take action against the doctor. Damn B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* of poison wolf pirates in the field continues to decrease. This scene immediately made the leader Poison Wolf furious. But now he had no way to escape when facing Thatch, including Ed. Seeing more and more of his subordinates dying, Poison Wolf suddenly noticed the existence of Ron and others. Looking at the doctor's treatment methods, Poisonous Wolf's eyes instantly became bloodshot, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Everyone, kill those doctors from the Whitebeard Pirates. If you want to annihilate our Poison Wolf Pirates, I will make you pay a heavy price. They all have to die, those guys all have to die." Chapter 10 Ron's First Kill, The Self-Destruction of the Poisonous Fruit. Advertisement. Yes. Yes. Hearing this, all the members of the Poison Wolf Pirate Group looked fierce. Now that things have happened, they can see that they and others don't have much chance of survival. The two divisions of the Whitebeard Pirates are too powerful. Especially Sage and Ace. The former blocked the Poisonous Wolf and even had a huge advantage. Not to mention the latter, Logia's ability user, Paramecia fruit, spread on a large scale. Not only was Ed defeated, but many members of the Poison Wolf Pirates were also involved. There was no resistance at all. After being involved in the Paramecia fruit, the members of the Venomous Wolf Pirates were burned to death without even leaving their intact bodies. Either way, death is inevitable, so it is better to fight to the death. Once the doctors of the Whitebeard Pirates are annihilated, it will be too late for rescue, and the seriously injured guys on the ground will also support themselves. Brothers, come together. Annihilate those guys from the Whitebeard Pirates. If you fight hard, you'll die no matter what, just hold these guys on your back. Quote. In an instant, the remaining members of the Poison Wolf Pirates frantically began to approach the area where Ron and others were. Because it was a desperate fight, this group of guys were not afraid of death at this moment, and directly caused the members of the fourth team and the second team who had the advantage, and even the huge numerical advantage, to be forced back a certain distance. Taking this opportunity, the guys from the Poison Wolf Pirates also accelerated their speed and headed straight for Ron and others. Stop them. Protect the doctor. Seeing this, the members of the second and fourth divisions became angry. Medical team. This is the biggest foundation of the two divisions. Even the loss of either one is a huge loss to their divisions. If this group of guys succeeds, then the losses to the second and fourth teams will be absolutely immeasurable. Thinking of this, everyone's eyes turned red, and they frantically attacked the members of the Poison Wolf Pirates. However, although they are crazy, they are still a step slow. This also caused the vast majority of the members of the Poison Wolf Pirates to rush into the area where Ron and others were. Hold them off. You retreat quickly. Evacuate this place quickly. For a moment, the combatants responsible for guarding Ron and others were also in awe. Without any hesitation, he picked up his weapon and attacked, determined to stop the members of the Poison Wolf Pirates from attacking Ron and others. Withdraw. Withdraw. At the same time, the doctors on the scene quickly retreated. Although he has a certain fighting ability as a doctor, to be honest, it is not very high. Moreover, the best value of being a doctor is to treat illnesses and save people. Your own personal risk may lead to the death of more people. It's really crazy. Is this a fight between pirates? Within the crowd, Ron also began to retreat. But more eyes were focused on the battlefield. As a time traveler, this was the first time he had witnessed such a large-scale killing. Even though his hometown was invaded, the number of invading pirates was not large and their strength was not strong. This gave him a chance to breathe, and he was finally rescued by Saki and his men. Death to you, kid. Suddenly, a cold voice sounded in Ron's ears. Following the sound, it could be seen that at some point, a member of the Poison Wolf Pirates had rushed over. Although he was covered in blood, he looked scarred. But at this moment, he was extremely excited, holding a long knife with a cold and ruthless expression on his face, and looking at Ron with eyes as excited as seeing prey. Advertisement. Not good. Ron, get out of the way. Ron, hide. This scene directly changed the expressions of the members and combatants who were evacuating on the side. Everyone knows what Ron's situation is. That was the being who had just been recognized as an adopted son by Whitebeard. If he dies here, then Whitebeard will be furious, and he is afraid that he and others will kill me. Don't utter arrogant words easily, it will only show your cowardice. Seeing this, Ron smiled. He really had no intention of getting involved just now. But since someone wants to kill him, he doesn't have any psychological burden. The guy in front of me is pretty good, at least at the school level. If it were a solo fight at its peak, even with the power of devil fruit, Ron wouldn't be absolutely sure. But it's different now. This guy was seriously injured and was obviously in an extremely miserable state. It was simply overestimating one's capabilities when a guy with so little health wanted to kill him. Shunpo. Taking one step forward, Ron's figure instantly disappeared. The next second, the man's attack was in vain. But Ron had already picked up a long knife on the battlefield. Shunpo. Taking another step, Ron had arrived at the area behind the man. Immediately afterwards, a cold light bloomed, and under Ron's control, the long knife directly penetrated the head of the Poison Wolf Pirates member. PFF'd. Blood spurted out, mixed with flying brains, and even Ron's arms were dyed red. At this point, Ron couldn't help but spit out his breath and frowned. The smell of blood on his body made him very uncomfortable, as if he had returned to that night a few months ago. But soon, Ron calmed down, slowly pulled out the long knife and said, "It's difficult to master the strength to step over ants without crushing them to death. I won't offend others unless they offend me. This is a world where people eat people. Only the strong deserve to live." Died. Ron killed that guy back. At the same time, everyone around them looked at this scene with their mouths wide open in disbelief on their faces. Including some members of the Poison Wolf Pirates are no exception. After all, Ron looked only 14 or 15 years old, and he was still among the doctors. How could he have such power? And so fierce. Well done, Ron. Well done, Ron. Quote. On the contrary, the combatants breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. While they were shouting one after another, the movements of their hands did not stop, and they continued to kill those members of the Poison Wolf Pirates who were fighting to the death. Ah! Ah! For a while, screams continued. A member of the venomous wolf pirates died. This also caused their plan to kill the medical staff to completely fail. Fire Fist Ace, I'll fight you. Suddenly, an angry voice sounded. Following the sound, it could be seen that Ed, the poisonous gas fruit ability user, could no longer hold on. His whole body was charred and black, and he was obviously seriously injured. Facing Ace's Fire Fist attack, Ed gritted his teeth and said, "Everyone must die. If you want to kill me, then you all should be buried with me." Poison Gas Self-Explosion. Chapter 11. Ching Yan shows off his vicious burning poison gas, the final Fire Fist. Advertisement. Bang! There was a loud explosion. You can clearly see Ed's body exploding, followed by large swaths of purple poisonous gas spreading out in all directions. Not good. It's poison gas. Quickly retreat, evacuate this place. Quote. This scene directly made Saki and Ace stunned. Especially Ace. He is responsible for dealing with Ed. I thought it was a sure win, but I didn't expect something like this to happen. Ed self-destructed and the terrifying poisonous gas spread. Even with all the strength of Paramecia fruit, it was impossible to cover the area in all directions. Damn guy. Roaring inside, Ace was anxious and angry at the moment. While roaring, he ordered people to retreat, while he launched an attack without any hesitation. Fire fist. Fire punch. Quote. In an instant, countless huge fire fists condensed and continued to wreak havoc to evaporate the poisonous gas. But even so, it couldn't stop the spread of poisonous mist around it. Ah! Ah! For a time, screams resounded continuously. Looking around, many members of the 2nd and 4th divisions of the Whitebeard Pirates were eroded by the poisonous gas, falling to the ground and rolling around in pain. This scene made Saki and Ace's faces look a little distorted. Thatch attacked the poisonous wolf in front of him even more crazily, while Ace frantically controlled the fire fist regardless of physical exertion in an attempt to destroy the poisonous mist as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, this effect is not great. The poisonous gas spread on a large scale and was now approaching the area where Ron and others were. No, retreat quickly. Retreat to the seaside. Enter the seawater to avoid the attack of the poisonous gas. For a moment, the faces of the doctors on the scene changed drastically. Not caring about anything else, he ran towards the sea area even faster. It may be uncomfortable to enter the sea water, but if you continue to stay on the shore, you will definitely die if you are attacked by poisonous gas. It's really troublesome. Seeing this situation, Ron's eyes flashed with helplessness. I thought it was settled that nothing happened to me, but I didn't expect such a big change to happen all of a sudden. Seeing the poisonous gas attacking him, he could not enter the sea. After all, he was demon fruit power. Once he came into contact with the sea water, he would turn into a landlubber and drown. I hope you don't disappoint me. Muttering in his heart, Ron casually discarded the long knife he had picked up before. Looking at the poisonous gas coming from all directions, he raised his hand, Qing Yan. The next second, blue flames bloomed. As the temperature increased, Ron waved his hand sharply at the area in front of him. In an instant, a large area of green flames appeared, forming a blue flame barrier in the area in front of Ron at a speed visible to the naked eye. Sizzling. Sizzling. The poisonous gas and the green flames merged, and the harsh sounds continued to resound. It can be clearly seen that the painful and irresistible poisonous gas begins to melt rapidly after coming into contact with the green flame, even more powerful than the burning speed of Paramecia fruit. That is, Captain Marco's Phoenix Flame. Captain Marco is here. Advertisement. No, something's wrong, the person wielding this power is Ron. Oh my god, how did Ron master Captain Marco's fruit power? Quote. For a moment, the whole place was in an uproar. Countless people's eyes were all focused on Ron's area. Looking at him and the green flame barrier built in front, everyone felt a little strange and unbelievable. What are you still doing? Seeing this, Ron didn't talk nonsense. After confirming that his Qing Yan could deal with the poisonous gas, he felt relieved in his heart. Then, Ron suddenly said, "Everyone evacuate towards me. Bring out the injured too. All the doctors are ready to detoxify people as soon as they come over, suppress their injuries, and heal them after I clear the poisonous gas." Yes. Yes. Hearing this, everyone in the 2nd and 4th divisions brightened up. Although Ron is not the captain or vice captain. But in this situation, Ron is their hope and possibility for survival. Although I don't know why Ron has the ability of the Phoenix, it is a life-saving existence for most of them. Without any hesitation, large numbers of members of the 2nd Division and the 4th Division began to move towards Ron's area with the poisoned people. On the contrary, no one from the poisonous wolf pirates paid any attention or help at this moment. They all died on the spot under the attack of the poisonous gas. Ron. That's Qing Yan. At the same time, Ace and Saki also saw the situation here. They breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Ron using his own power to block the poisonous gas and even rescue the poisoned people on a large scale. Immediately afterwards, they felt extremely happy inside. After all, they insisted on bringing Ron this time, but they didn't expect that it would actually work, or even play such a vital role. With Ron's help, the losses of both the 2nd team and the 4th team will be minimized. Even if many people are poisoned by the gas explosion, there is still the possibility of cure. That brat. Phoenix's ability. Is Marco dead? At the same time, Poisonous Wolf was also dumbfounded. Except for him, the entire Poison Wolf pirate group had been killed. The poisonous gas explosion just now was able to take away a group of people, but he didn't expect it to turn out like this. The green flames of the phoenix blocked the invasion of poisonous gas, and the ability of the phoenix itself could also expel the power of the poisonous gas fruit. This meant that except for those guys who were caught off guard and were poisoned in the first place, those who are still alive now are unlikely to be in danger. For a moment, Poison Wolf's eyes turned red. Kid, I want you to die. Not even caring about Sachi's existence, he roared suddenly and turned into a two-headed wolf more than 10 meters tall. An impact knocked Thatchy away, and the poisonous wolf turned around, his limbs pulsating, and ran towards the area where Ron was without hesitation. Not good. Seeing this situation, Sachi's expression changed drastically. Ignoring his own embarrassment at the moment, he quickly shouted, Ace. Block him. We can't let him go to where Ron is, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. Good. Hearing this, Ace also reacted. Although the high-intensity use of the fruit's ability just now made him extremely weak, he couldn't care about anything else at this moment. Jumping up quickly, Ace's figure came to the area in midair, and actually moved to the area in front of Poisonous Wolf in a few steps. 7 days. Not only Ron is learning, but Ace is also practicing the enhanced version of Marine 6 styles, and his understanding of Marine Moonwalk has reached the introductory stage. When he reached the area in front of Poison Wolf, Ace raised his hand, took a deep breath and mobilized all his strength to launch an attack without hesitation. Take my hit, the last fire punch. Chapter 12 The Ultimate Rescue of Ace, the destruction of the Poison Wolf Pirates. Advertisement. The next second, a fist condensed with red flames erupted. Under Ace's control, the huge fire fist shot out of the air and directly hit Poison Wolf's huge beast-turned body. Rumble. Rumble. A deafening roar resounded, and you could clearly see the mess wherever the fire fist passed. The terrifying and hot flames burned, burning everything on the ground. Success. Is it blocked? Such a terrible flame, that guy will definitely die. Quote. Seeing this situation, the members of the second and fourth teams on the field were all in high spirits. After all, Ace's attack was very powerful, even several times stronger than the fire fist he had used before. Even if the poisonous wolf transformed into a two-headed wolf, it would be extremely difficult to block such an attack. It hurts me so much. Fire Fist Ace, you deserve to die. However, before everyone could breathe a sigh of relief, the angry roar of the poisonous wolf was heard first. Following the sound, a huge two-headed wolf could be seen emerging from the area where the fire fist was wreaking havoc. The hair all over the body has been burned, and it looks extremely haggard. Many areas have even been burned and necrotic, and there is a strong aroma of barbecue. But his own vitality is extremely tenacious. After all, he is a zone ability user. Coupled with the fact that part of the armed color covers his head and heart and other key locations, Ace's blow cannot pose a fatal threat to him. Go to hell. Fire Fist Ace. With a roar, the two-headed wolf stretched out its sharp claws. The color of its armor quickly shifted and soon covered the sharp claws. In an instant, the claws were shining brightly in black, and under the cover of armament hockey, they shot straight towards the area where Ace was. Not good. Vice Captain Ace. This scene immediately made everyone present scream in surprise. After all, everyone knows about armament hockey, and they know better that this thing can destroy the possibility of elementalization. Under such circumstances, Ace cannot dodge, and will definitely die if he is hit. Not good. In the crowd, Ron's expression changed. Although the relationship between him and Ace was not very familiar, he had no intention of watching him die here. Shunpo. Not caring about anything else, Ron jumped out from where he was. The whole person quickly approached the field. When he arrived at Ace's area, he grabbed him without hesitation and continued to use Shunpo to dodge to the side. Bang! At this moment, Poison Wolf's attack fell, completely destroying the area where Ace had been. Brother Ace. This scene directly made Saki, who followed closely behind, blush. Because of Ron's speed in rescuing people, and the large amount of dust thrown up after the claw attack, they didn't notice it for a while. Because of this, Saki was completely crazy at this moment. The armament hockey in his body covered the sharp blade, and he accelerated the attack suddenly and came to the area where the poisonous wolf was. Die. With an explosion of energy all over his body, Saki swung his sword and chopped off both heads of the two-headed wolf. Before he even had time to send out any response, Poisonous Wolf was already dead, its huge body shrinking rapidly, and finally turned into a headless corpse lying on the ground. Brother Ace. However, Saki didn't care about this at the moment, and ran quickly towards the dust-splashed area. There is only one thought in his mind now: find Ace, treat Ace, and never let Ace die. The breeze blows and the dust dissipates. Thatch arrived at the pit area behind the claws, but he didn't see any figure or body of Ace. Advertisement. This. After opening his mouth, Saki was a little at a loss for a moment. You didn't even see his body. Could it be that Ace had been beaten so badly that there was no body left? Thinking of this, Sachi's feet went weak, and he slumped down in the tunnel. Brother Ace, it was me who hurt you. Ahem, Brother Saki. I'm fine, I'm still alive. At this time, a weak voice came. Looking through the sound, Ron and Ace could be seen appearing not far away. But at this moment, both of them were in an extremely embarrassed state. Although Ron saved Ace with Shunpo, Poison Wolf's attack was still very powerful. The aftermath that spread hit them, causing both of them to be injured. Ace. Hearing the sound, Saki subconsciously trembled. He turned around and saw Ron and Ace standing up in the distance, helping each other. He was very excited. Haha, great, Ace, you're not dead. Ron, you saved Ace. So be it. Waving his hand, Ron said weakly, it's a good thing Shunpo is getting started, otherwise I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to achieve this step. But Captain Saki, I'm afraid it's up to you to do the next thing. After I wake up, I will treat the others. After saying that, Ron could no longer hold on and passed out. In this battle, Ron was very exhausted, and it was already difficult for him to block the large-scale poisonous gas with his green flames. Later, in order to save Ace, he even forced himself to maintain Shunpo's performance. This was not an easy task. Ron. Seeing this, Ace quickly helped Ron. Ron. At the same time, Sachi quickly stepped forward. He quickly lifted up the weak Ace and the unconscious Ron, holding them on one side and saying, it's okay. It's okay. Let's go back and recuperate first. As he spoke, Thatch hurried to the ship with Ace and Ron. While walking, Sachi also quickly issued an order: everyone gather the injured people together for treatment. Although the poison gas is very powerful, Ron can treat it. All you need to do is stabilize everyone's injuries. After Ron wakes up, we will thoroughly treat the poisonous gas in your body. Yes. Yes. Hearing this, all the members of the second and fourth teams cheered. Although this battle had some twists and turns, the final result was good. The Poison Wolf Pirates were wiped out, and Ace and Ron were not seriously injured. Although they also lost their men, most of them were also due to poisoning. As long as Ron wakes up, the poisonous gas on their bodies can be cured, and there will be no danger to their lives. Time flies, and 2 days pass in the blink of an eye. Early on the third day, Ron woke up from coma. He struggled to sit up from the bed, rubbed his head and said, it hurts, it hurts. This time it's beyond the limit. The aftereffects are so strong, my body feels like it has been crushed into pieces. I can't consume it to such an extreme anymore in the future, it almost drained me. As he spoke, Ron sat cross-legged and quickly mobilized the healing fire to treat his own condition and pain. Chapter 13. Treating the wounded wins the hearts of the people, thanks from Ace. Advertisement. 2 hours later, Ron's tightly closed eyes opened. The power of healing fire successfully restored the sore and painful body to its original state. Not only that, as his condition improved, he could clearly feel that his body had improved a lot. The consumption that exceeded the limit this time was also extremely huge for his improvement. Ron. At this time, a cry came. You finally woke up. The door was pushed open, and Saki walked in hurriedly. After seeing Ron, who was fine, he visibly breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately afterwards, Sage said eagerly, "Ron, now that your injury has recovered, come and help. Those guys who were injured before have been tortured by the poison gas in the past few days. Whether you wake up or not, I'm going to contact Marco." Speaking of this, Sachi's eyes were full of helplessness. To be honest, what happened this time was definitely beyond his and Ace's expectations. The poisonous gas of Ed from the Poison Wolf Pirates exploded in the end, which was simply devastating. The number of people in both divisions who were poisoned also increased significantly. "Captain Thatch, I have recovered." With a calm smile, Ron did not hesitate and quickly got out of bed and said, "Take me to where the injured person is. My strength has almost recovered and I can start treating them." "Good." Hearing this, Sachi did not hesitate. He immediately took Ron and headed towards the outside world. Soon, the two arrived at the area where the poisoned people from the 2nd Division and the 4th Division gathered. "Hey, it hurts me so much." Quote. As it got closer, countless wailing sounds came. Even with the treatment of doctors, it only suppressed the spread of poisonous gas in these people's bodies and could not cure it. This also caused this group of people to be in agony at this moment. Under such torture, many people are in agony, and some even want to commit suicide. Fortunately, the people on the side contained it in time and did not give it any chance to kill itself. Otherwise, the number of deaths would have skyrocketed. Have a look. At this time, Sage took Ron to an intensive care unit. Compared with those outside who can still wail and scream, the people here are already lying there unable to scream, and the dying ones look like they are on the verge of death. Not caring about anything else, Sachi turned around and said, "Ron, how do you think the situation is?" "Good." Ron agreed, and without hesitation, he quickly stepped forward and came to a person's side. Healing fire. In an instant, a blue flame condensed and directly covered the man's body under Ron's control. Zitsa. Zitsa. In an instant, the sound of burning resounded. It could be clearly seen that the man's skin began to ulcerate, and the poisonous gas began to be discharged from many small holes, and was later burned away by the healing fire. In just a dozen breaths, the toxins in that person's body had been cleared away. Comfortable. At this time, the man's furrowed brows relaxed, and after a weak cry, he fell asleep. "Quick, check on him." Seeing this situation, Sachi looked solemn and immediately looked at the doctor beside him. "Yes." After agreeing, the doctor stepped forward. Under the gaze of countless people, he began to check the person's condition. Advertisement. After a while, the doctor raised his head and said, "Solved. The toxins in his body are gone. As long as he takes a break, he'll be back to where he was before." "Very good. It really works. We are saved." Suddenly, the entire area burst into cheers. The person's condition before was serious and he could be cured, which meant that the remaining people would be fine. "Ron, over to you." Saki breathed a sigh of relief and then looked at Ron. "No problem." After agreeing, Ron didn't hesitate and quickly started to take action. As the healing fire continued to burn, the poisonous gas in the bodies of each seriously ill person was treated by Ron. For a time, more and more people fell into coma, but their injuries also recovered as before. It took Ron more than an hour to treat the seriously ill group. After resting and regaining his strength, he followed Saki and left the place to where the other lightly injured personnel were. "Captain Sage is here. It's Ron. Ron is here too. Great. Ron is awake and we are saved." Seeing the appearance of Ron and Saki, the group of wailing people were also overjoyed. They already knew about the critical area, and it was clear that Ron's healing fire could clear away the power of the poisonous gas. For a moment, everyone looked at Ron with eyes full of passion and expectation. Originally he was just a little transparent character, but after this incident, he also occupied a very important position in the minds of everyone in the 2nd and 4th teams. With Ron's busy work all afternoon, everyone in the 2nd and 4th teams was treated. At this point, the wailing in this area has stopped abruptly, replaced by a cheerful atmosphere of celebration. It is finally over. After finishing the treatment, Ron walked to the bow of the boat and sat down to rest. This afternoon's high-intensity action was extremely tiring for him. However, the gains are still great. For example, the power and effect of the healing fire have been significantly improved after such high-intensity use. The development of his devil fruit has reached 17%. Although it was only an increase of 2%, it was only completed in one afternoon. Ron. At this time, Saki and Ace came from behind. It can be seen that the two of them were holding wine bottles in their hands. When they arrived at Ron's side, they put down the wine bottles in their hands and said, "Thank you for your hard work. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid our two divisions would have suffered heavy losses this time." "What are you talking about, Captain Saki?" After laughing, Ron picked up a bottle of wine and took a sip before saying, "I am also a member of the Whitebeard Pirates in the 4th Division. How could I watch everyone get injured or die?" Hearing this, Saki smiled even more. Ron. At this time, Ace solemnly picked up the wine bottle and said, "Thank you this time. If it weren't for you, Poison Wolf's last attack would have been enough to kill me." Having said this, Ace's eyes were full of gratitude. After all, he really had the possibility of dying at that time, but luckily Ron saved him, otherwise. "Brother Ace, you're welcome." Waving his hand, Ron had no intention of claiming credit and said sadly, "If it hadn't been for your last fire fist, I'm afraid we would all have died if the poisonous wolf came in. And I'm learning Shunpo just to save my life. It's within my ability to save you. If I was not capable enough, I would have just watched helplessly. If I have to say thank you, then I have to thank you and Captain Saki for the enhanced 6-position training method that you won back." Chapter 14 Sage's Change, Whitebeard's Personality Charm. Advertisement. Hearing this, Saki and Ace also grinned. It is undeniable that the advanced version of the 6 styles is indeed powerful. Even if they only learned one of the moves, both Ron and Ace have improved greatly. Thinking of this, Sachi smiled bitterly and said, "Unfortunately, brother, I don't have enough talent. I tried that thing, but I couldn't complete the practice in a short time." Having said this, he glanced at Ron and Ace, his eyes full of envy. The two learned Shunpo and High Moonwalk respectively in less than a week. He has also seen the effect. Shunpo's speed is about 3 times that of Marine 6 styles. The speed of High Moonwalk is also about 3 times that of Moonwalk. Why wouldn't he want to possess such a powerful move? It doesn't have to be this way, Brother Sage. Waving his hand, Ace said calmly, "We have mastered the method of cultivation. Brother, you will be able to master it if you practice more in the future. Ron and I are faster at learning, but our strength cannot compare with that of Brother Saki." Hearing this, Ron also nodded. Among the 3, he is the weakest. Although this battle improved his strength, it was only at the captain level and had not yet truly reached the school level. Ace is stronger. He has reached the general level, but general level also has stages. Even with the power of Paramecia fruit, Ace's strength is only at the Vice Admiral stage. But Sage was different. As a squad leader, his strength is at the level of an elite Vice Admiral, and can even reach the rank of General when he goes all out. Because of this, in order to obtain the dark fruit in the future, Blackbeard can only carry out a sneak attack after Sage is drunk, but does not dare to rob it directly. It's not that Saki has the strength to match Blackbeard, but that after reaching the level of General Star, his own strength has surpassed the elite Vice Admiral sequence. Even Blackbeard would not be able to win him in a short time. Once agitation is caused, the news of Blackbeard's betrayal will spread, and then the White Group will attack, and Blackbeard will also feel uncomfortable. "Hey, what's this?" Sighing, Saki looked downcast at the moment and said, "My strength can no longer be improved. Dad has already checked it out for me. My potential has been exhausted and there is no further possibility. Even with the 2-color hockey, I can only reach the intermediate level now and cannot reach the advanced level at all. Hockey is divided into entry level, beginner level, intermediate level, advanced level, and top level." Brother Saki. Opening his mouth, Ace didn't know what to say for a moment. "Captain Thatch, that's not what you said." On the contrary, Ron said calmly at this moment, "If your potential is exhausted, then you can replenish it. Devil fruit itself is an extremely magical existence. If you get a devil fruit and develop it to the point of awakening, its strength will at least reach the level of a quasi-admiral, or even an imperial deputy. If you can get Zone, the phantom beast species, or the powerful Logia, then this upper limit will be increased. You helped me find a copy fruit, and I will definitely help you find a powerful devil fruit to enhance your own strength. Dark fruit. This thing is a good choice though. But Ron knew very well that Teach would take action as soon as dark fruit appeared. By then, Saki would have no chance of eating it, and he would probably be directly attacked and killed. Therefore, it is necessary to find a devil fruit for Saki before the dark fruit appears, so that Sachi's strength can truly be stabilized at the general level and even have the power to compete with Teach. At that time, whenever dark fruit appears, he will take action to intercept it. With Teach blocking him, the possibility of Teach taking dark fruit away will be greatly reduced. Advertisement. Although he couldn't eat the devil fruit, there was no doubt about the value of the dark fruit. Ron didn't want it to be eaten by Teach, nor did he want the white mass to break. Yes. Devil fruit. Ace's eyes lit up and he immediately raised his head. Brother Saki, Ron is right. We can help you get a powerful devil fruit, and then your situation can change. In this way, you will not be unable to become stronger due to the limitation of your potential. Hearing this, Saki was a little complicated. Devil fruit. To be honest, he didn't really want to eat it. Otherwise, the cloned fruit would not have been given directly to Ron. And as the captain of the 4th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, if he needs devil fruit, Whitebeard will definitely get him a powerful one. But after experiencing this incident, Saki also understood his own shortcomings. Even if his strength is good, in the final analysis he is only at the stage of an ordinary cadre. If he wants to go further, he can only eat devil fruit. All right. Taking a deep breath, Saki slowly raised his head and said, "Where do you have a few devil fruits? After I go back, I ask my father to give me one. As the captain of the 4th Division, I must become stronger. Otherwise, things like Partridge Island may happen again." Hearing this, both Ron and Ace smiled. If Thatch was willing to eat devil fruit, then all the problems wouldn't be a problem. After looking at each other, Ron picked up the wine bottle and said, "Okay, then I wish Captain Sage can get a powerful devil fruit. Yes, I wish Brother Saki will become stronger." 5 days later, the ships of the 4th Division and the 2nd Division returned to Whitebeard Base Camp. Ron, Ace and Thatch also came to the Moby DK to report the operation to Whitebeard. "Dad, it's all my fault." Kneeling on one knee, Saki said with a complicated expression, "I misjudged the strength of the Poison Wolf Pirates, which resulted in the death of many subordinates. Please punish me." As soon as these words came out, Ace immediately saluted and said, "Dad, this is not Captain Sachi's fault. I am also at fault. I was too conceited and did not deal with it as soon as possible, which led to the poisonous gas. The power of the fruit's self-explosion has affected so many people." Quote. On the contrary, Ron didn't know what to say for a moment. He was not wrong, and he even saved many people. It was a bit far-fetched to admit his mistake. Okay. In response, Whitebeard waved his hand indifferently. Compared to the death of his subordinates, he was happiest with the growth of Saki and Ace. Thinking of this, Whitebeard suddenly smiled and said, "Cool Lala, now that you have realized your mistakes and shortcomings, you can just work hard to change everything in the future. You are my Whitebeard's sons. Even if you make mistakes, it's because I, the father, didn't teach you well." Dad. Hearing this, Ace and Thatch both looked at Whitebeard with emotion. Even Ron had to admit Whitebeard's courage and charisma. Chapter 15 The Friendship of the White Group, Devil Fruit's Choice. Advertisement. Dad. Seeing this situation, Ron knew that the time was almost up. Whitebeard no longer blamed, and there was no need for Saki and Ace to continue to apologize. Thinking of this, Ron immediately stepped forward and changed the subject. After this incident, Captain Saki realized his own shortcomings and planned to eat devil fruit. The captain said, "Dad, you have devil fruit in stock here. I wonder if you can give one devil fruit to Captain Sage." As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell silent. Marco and others looked at Saki in surprise. I can't believe he actually asked for devil fruit. After all, based on their understanding of Saki, Although the latter kept saying he was envious of Devil Fruit's ability, he was actually resistant to it. However, thinking of Ron's words also made them understand that this time the operation on Partridge Island had made Saki a bit hit, and even understood the urgency of his own lack of strength. Thinking of this, Marco and others did not hesitate, and quickly stepped forward and saluted. Dad, give Saki a devil fruit. Yes, Dad, Saki is the captain of the fourth team. He has made a lot of contributions over the years. It is more than enough to exchange for one devil fruit. Dad, if Sachi's credit is not enough, then I am willing to use the 7th team's quota to exchange for devil fruit for him. Dad, and my 13th division. Dad, and my 5th team. In an instant, all the captains spoke one after another. There are not many rules within the Whitebeard Pirates, but they are not loose either. With Whitebeard's Moby DK as the main force, each division is responsible for guarding a sea area to manage and protect the territory of the Whitebeard Pirates. Under such circumstances, the 16 squads would send a batch of supplies to the base camp every year for Whitebeard to control and distribute. The priority of distribution was determined based on the merit of each squad in the past year. After receiving the material distribution from Whitebeard, each division captain will use part of it to reward the team members. Similarly, if the team members want to obtain things, they must rely on their respective merits and contributions. As Ron was given the devil fruit directly. In addition to the fact that Saki got the copying fruit himself, the more important reason is that no one in the fourth team competes for it. Otherwise, once someone with high merit competes for the devil fruit, even Saki, as the captain, cannot say that he will give it to Ron on his own initiative. Cool lala. Seeing this, Whitebeard smiled even more happily. He doesn't care about merit or failure, nor does he care about devil fruit. What he cares about is the harmonious and happy relationship between his sons. Now that everyone is willing to sacrifice for Sachi, Whitebeard is naturally extremely happy. Marco. Thinking of this, Whitebeard suddenly said, "Go and take out the box containing devil fruit from the warehouse. Let Thatch pick one." "Yes, Dad." Hearing this, Marco was overjoyed. Without hesitation, he hurriedly turned around and walked towards the cabin. Unlike other squads that are stationed outside, the first squad is responsible for protecting the base camp. Although Marco is the captain of the first squad within the Whitebeard Pirates, he actually does the work of the royal deputy. "Thank you, Dad." Saki was also moved to speak at this moment. After all, he has a choice, so his probability of finding a powerful devil fruit will increase a lot. Seeing this, Ron, Ace and others also looked at each other and smiled. He didn't say anything, but stood in a nearby area waiting. About 3 minutes later, Marco came out holding a rectangular wooden box. After arriving at Saki, Marco put it directly on the ground, opened the lid without hesitation and said, "Saki, you choose one." Advertisement. There are 10 devil fruits in here. Although there is no Zone Phantom Beast and Logia, they are still good devil fruit. Originally, this thing is a competition reward when Dad prepares to convene various teams to gather at the end of the year. You choose one first, and we will put one together then. End of year party competition. Hearing this, all the captains except Marco present had expressions on their faces. It's not that they care about prizes, but that there will be rankings in the competition, and they naturally want their team to rank high. For a moment, Vista and others muttered to themselves, "There are still 3 months until the end of the year. It seems that we need to train those guys hard after returning during this time. We can't let those guys slip up during the game. If the second team ranks low, they will be laughed at." Good. Nodding, Saki didn't hesitate and started to look at it directly. It's just that he didn't eat devil fruit, so he really couldn't recognize many devil fruits. Even people within the Whitebeard Pirates couldn't identify many of the fruits and abilities. Captain Thatch. At this time, Ron watched Saki sink into deep thought and quickly stepped forward. The latter copied the fruit for himself, giving him the possibility of climbing to the 4 Emperors level in the future. Naturally, he wanted to reciprocate the favor. After arriving at Teach, Ron said, "We don't know much about devil fruit, so why not let Teach come over? He has read the devil fruit illustrated book. Although it is a fragment, he should know some of it." When the time comes, we will choose a powerful one among the fruits we know. Yes, Teach. Hearing this, Sachi's eyes lit up and he immediately said, Ron, then go and ask Teach to come over. With Teach's help, I'll be able to recognize some. He was also afraid that he would eat rubbish devil fruit. In that case, there would be no point in eating devil fruit against his heart. Good. After agreeing, Ron did not refuse and turned around and ran towards the outside of Moby DK. Soon, he found Teach at the meeting place of the first team. As the second and fifth best disguised member of the Whitebeard Pirates, Teach has very good connections within the Whitebeard Pirates, not only in the 4th division, but even in the 1st division. People in the other divisions have feelings for him. All good. Teach. Stepping forward, Ron quickly came to Teach's side, reached out and grabbed his shoulders and said, "Follow me. Go to Daddy. Identify devil fruit for Captain Thatch." What? Hearing this, Teach's face was filled with astonishment. Do you recognize devil fruit? Sage wants to eat devil fruit. When did this happen? Although he was confused, Teach did not refuse and followed Ron quickly to the location of the Moby DK. But while walking, Teach asked curiously, Ron, Captain Sage wants to eat devil fruit. Didn't he care about this thing before? Why do you want to eat devil fruit all of a sudden? Hearing this, Ron rolled his eyes internally. If Teach didn't fight against the poisonous wolf pirates this time, the losses wouldn't be so big, or there might even be no losses at all. In this way, it is impossible for Thatch to be stimulated to increase his strength, and even choose to eat devil fruit under the persuasion of himself and Ace. Chapter 16 Regretful Teach, Reappearance of Special Paramecia. Advertisement. But Ron couldn't say such a thing directly. Teach, the 6th child, doubted that unless it was really a matter of life and death, he would never expose his own strength. The scar on Shank's face was probably because of Shank's persecution, otherwise he would never have shown his strength. It's not because of what happened this time. Thinking of this, Ron said without leaving a trace, Partridge Island suffered a great loss. Captain Saki blamed himself for his lack of strength, so he thought of eating devil fruit to increase his strength. But none of us have ever seen the devil fruit illustrated book, so it's not just you we can look for. At this point, Ron changed his voice and said, by the way, Teach, do you want to eat devil fruit? Dad took out 10 devil fruits this time for Captain Saki to choose. If you want them, I'll tell Dad about them then. Speaking of this, Ron felt extremely playful in his heart. If Blackbeard really ate the devil fruit, could he still plan the dark fruit? Did the dark fruit give him the ability to have 2 devil fruits, or was Teach a special physique, a special existence of 3 people in one body, as the bloggers in previous lives inferred? No, not anymore. As expected, Blackbeard's face changed slightly at this moment, and he waved his hands quickly. I'm so weak, don't waste something as precious as devil fruit. And I'm not very interested in fighting. What I like more is wine and food. Pack. You keep pretending. Ron was complaining in his heart, but Ron didn't show any signs of it on the surface. Even if they know Teach's situation, he is too weak and does not have much prestige within the Whitebeard Pirates. Even if he points it out directly, no one will believe it. Teach may even kill him secretly. Thinking of this, Ron laughed. Is this so? That's good too. If I didn't have no choice, I would also like to live a carefree life. After ending the conversation, the two have arrived at the Moby DK. Upon arrival, Ron and Teach saluted Whitebeard. Immediately afterwards, the two came to Sachi's side. Teach, you're here. Seeing Teach appear, Sage's eyes suddenly lit up and he said, come on, help me see how these devil fruits are doing. Which devil fruit should I choose? Captain Thatch. He casually glanced at the devil fruit in the box and confirmed that there was no dark fruit that he needed. Teach also breathed a sigh of relief and then said, I just looked at some incomplete illustrations and tried my best to identify them. If I can't identify them, Captain, don't be offended. What are you talking about? Waving his hand, Saki said disapprovingly, we are brothers, how can I blame you? Come on, see what you know. As soon as these words came out, Whitebeard, Marco and others also looked at Thatch. Advertisement. After all, they didn't recognize these devil fruits. In the world of One Piece, except for the world government, which has a relatively complete devil fruit illustrated book, the rest of the people don't have much discerning ability. Because of this, without knowing the ability of devil fruit, many people are almost gambling when eating devil fruit, either it is the most rubbish or it is powerful. Because of this, the powerful devil fruit that can know information are enthusiastic and respected by countless people. In the first half of the Grand Line, Logia was believed to be invincible, and everyone in the New World believed that Zone, the phantom beast species, was the most powerful. Yes. After agreeing, Teach was not trying to shirk anything. Although it will expose some of your own situation, if people know that you have the ability to identify devil fruit, then when the Whitebeard Pirates find devil fruit, they will most likely find you to identify it as soon as possible, and there is a possibility of finding dark fruit. Bigger. Thinking of this, Teach couldn't help but regret why he didn't think of this earlier, otherwise he wouldn't have missed the magical copying fruit. Immediately afterwards, Teach began to discern. After about a while, Teach took out 5 devil fruits and placed them in front of Sachi, and said, "I'm sorry, Captain Sachi, I only recognize these 5, and I don't recognize the other 5 devil fruits." Of course, this is false. He, Teach, is a man who has seen the complete version and even the collector's version of the devil fruit illustrated book. How could he not recognize it? But compared to the 5 devil fruits he selected, the other 5 were a lot of rubbish, and it was impossible for him to directly reveal that he knew too many secrets. Enough. Waving his hand, Sachi said expectantly, "Tell me about the situation of these 5 devil fruits." At this time, Ron and Whitebeard also became curious. Whitebeard didn't recognize the fruit. He had seen the devil fruit illustrated book, but it was also a mutilated version. But Ron also knew Teach's situation very well, and the devil fruit he could choose was definitely not weak. Yes. Teach agreed, not talking nonsense, and introduced from left to right, this is the Paramecia hurricane fruit. Although it cannot reach the level of Logia, it is very destructive and can even fly with the help of it. This is the Paramecia speed fruit. After eating it, you can make yourself faster, even reaching the speed of sound. It is second only to Marine Admiral Kizaru's sparkling fruit in terms of speed. This one is Zone, snake fruit, ancient species, and thunderous form. As the name suggests, after eating it, you can have a powerful body and even control the power of thunder and lightning. This one is the form of Zone dragon fruit and Stegodragon. Although it is an ordinary type, it is also a powerful dragon fruit and its power is definitely not weak. This last one. At this point, Teach paused. Then he said complicatedly, "This is Paramecia devil fruit, and it is also a special type similar to the replica fruit that Ron eats. It is called replica fruit. Different copies can be copied 3 times, and they can exert 100% of the power except for awakening. This replica fruit can only be copied once, and can only exert about 50% of the power, but if it is awakened, it can exert about 70% power. I saw a record in the devil fruit illustrated book. This fruit is very strange. Some call it powerful, while others call it tasteless. Replica fruit." His pupils shrank, Ron's eyes were fixed on the devil fruit. Although it is not as good as his own copy fruit, the power of reproduction is definitely not weak. Even after awakening, it can only exert 70% of its power, but it still depends on who the person chooses to recreate. If it's trash devil fruit, it's naturally worthless. But what if the copy is Whitebeard's shock fruit? Even if it is 50% of the power, then. Chapter 17 Sachi's Choice, the True Value of the Replica Fruit. Advertisement. Gouda. After listening to Teach's words, everyone present swallowed their saliva. Just as Ron thought, this thought also appeared in everyone's minds at this moment. If you choose to remake Whitebeard's shock fruit, wouldn't that be? What are you waiting for? Saki, just eat this replica fruit. Almost instantly, Marco and others on the side spoke one after another. After all, if that's the case, even if it can only exert 50% of its power, it still surpasses most devil fruit. Especially after reaching the awakening stage, this replica fruit can also activate 70% of the power of shock fruit. By then, opening his mouth, Sachi was also a little excited at this moment. After all, as Whitebeard's sons, they know all too well that shock fruit's powerful Yamato is terrifying. Wait a minute. However, before Thatch could speak, Ron suddenly interrupted. Teach, my copy fruit has limitations and disadvantages. The copy fruit is obviously the inferior fruit of the copy fruit. Doesn't he have other special restrictions and conditions? As soon as these words came out, Saki, who was about to take the replica fruit, made a move. Marco and others around him also looked at Teach curiously, including Whitebeard. Facing the gaze, Teach hesitated for a moment, and then said, yes, yes. If this re-engraving fruit wants to re-engrave the other party's ability, it must be completed when the ability user is willing to cooperate, or even put in a few drops of hard work. Wow! Hearing this, the whole place was in an uproar. Although the re-engraving fruit is very strong, the potential is also extremely huge. But hard work. This thing is the blood of the heart, the blood of the heart. If Whitebeard was young, losing a few drops of hard work would be nothing. But now Whitebeard is old, and it can even be said that he is at the end of his strength. Under such circumstances, if he had to give a few drops of his hard work, even if Sachi succeeded in recreating shock fruit, Whitebeard would be seriously injured. By then. Teach, you should have said such an important thing earlier. Almost instantly, Sachi spoke. This replica fruit is very special and magical, but I won't eat it. I choose this ancient species. Saying that, Sage reached out without hesitation and picked up the fruit in the form of zone, snake fruit, ancient species, and thunder python on the ground. He didn't even give the others time or chance to react, and took a bite without hesitation. Go down. This scene was visible to everyone. But no one stopped him. After all, Teach's words just now made it very clear that the situation of replicating the fruit is too special. If it's like Ron, the other party can copy it with cooperation. However, the prerequisite for reenactment is to capture the heart and blood of the person being reenacted as a medium. This is definitely something that everyone cannot accept. In addition to shock fruit, there are many powerful devil fruits in the world, but only about 50% of the power is not as powerful as eating the zone ancient seed. Advertisement. Good guy. Fortunately, I was more cautious. Especially Ron, who couldn't help but feel relieved at this moment. If he hadn't asked more questions, I'm afraid that Saki would have chosen to carve the fruit again, and I'm afraid there would really be no choice. Either Thatch gives up this ability, or Whitebeard's vitality is severely damaged, whichever is not good for the Whitebeard Pirates. Fortunately, all of this was stopped, and there was no further spread of the situation. It can be said that everyone is happy. Thinking of this, Ron glanced at Teach, and then said, Dad, the situation of this replica fruit is special. I think it should be kept instead of rewarded. After we find people with special abilities such as the castle fruit, lion fruit, gate fruit, mirror fruit, etc., we will let the outstanding people on our ship eat them and recreate them at the same time. Since the reproduced ability cannot be used to its maximum extent, it is better to make it functional. It will also be of great benefit to our Whitebeard Pirates in the future. As soon as these words came out, Marco and others' eyes lit up. After looking at each other, they all said, that's a good thing, Ron. Since it can't use its full power, it's definitely good to use it as a functional existence. For example, the Big Mom Pirate's mirror fruit, it is said that as long as you connect to the mirror, you can go to the other end of the area as soon as possible. If we, the Whitebeard Pirates, get this power, we can build a mirror channel within our territory and rush to various islands and regions as soon as possible. There is also the gate fruit. Although I don't know where it is said that the gate fruit can build a passage to nothingness. It is more powerful than the mirror fruit. It is also a great guarantee for the safety of our Whitebeard Pirates. Quote. Quote. For a moment, all the squad captains started talking. Each one of them told about the existence of those special devil fruits that they knew about. It may not be powerful, but its functionality is really great. The most important thing is that these devil fruit abilities are outside the Whitebeard Pirates. When the time comes to capture them, you only need to capture them. When they thought of this, Marco and others were all excited. After all, the abilities of those fruits can greatly improve the overall strength of the White Group. As long as the destructive power and strength are not excessive, the value of this replica fruit is extremely huge. Damn. At this moment, Teach's expression also darkened, and he couldn't help cursing secretly in his heart. For nothing else. Because when he saw this fruit, his heart was already moved. Not that he planned to eat it himself, but because the value of this fruit was huge. As Ron said, this kind of functional devil fruit can be chosen independently, and its value is huge to any pirate group. He even had the intention of getting it later, and he knew very well that given his situation, there was a high possibility of getting it if he asked. But it's different now. Ron directly pointed out the best function of the replica fruit. Immediately let everyone in the Whitebeard Pirates know its true value, and it would be impossible to give it to him even if it was really used. Even if it is given to him, he cannot really eat this replica fruit. He is a man who wants to be the king of the world, how can he waste his talent and choose such a fruit? Good. The Lord sat down, and Whitebeard was also a little excited at this moment. What he thought was a useless fruit now seems to be more valuable than he imagined, and even has a huge effect. Chapter 18 General Saki, Beasts Pirates Supplies. Advertisement. Thinking of this, Whitebeard suddenly said, Marco, collect the remaining fruits. Except for the replica fruits, the rest will be treated as prizes at the end of the year. Yes, Dad. Marco agreed and immediately stepped forward. Without any hesitation, he directly took back all the devil fruit on the ground. Immediately afterwards, he took the box containing devil fruit and walked not far away. Ron had a panoramic view of this scene, but he didn't approve of Whitebeard's behavior in his heart. Although rewards are indeed a good stimulus and can make the members under your command more loyal and active. But such distribution cannot significantly improve the overall strength of the Whitebeard Pirates. On the contrary, if these devil fruit are gathered together to form a team, such as Kaido's Beast Legion. Once a team with pure devil fruit appears, the strength of the entire Whitebeard Pirates will be greatly improved, or even reach a whole new level. Just like the situation in the original work. The Beasts Pirates themselves also have countless subsidiaries, but their true direct lineage is also the Beasts Legion. As long as the Beasts Legion still exists, the foundation of the Beasts Pirates exists and can make a comeback at any time. On the contrary, the current Whitebeard Pirates are entirely supported by Whitebeard alone. It's okay if Whitebeard has nothing to do, but if Whitebeard dies, the entire 16 divisions of the Whitebeard Pirates will be reduced to a piece of loose sand. Break it for me. At this moment, Sachi's low roar sounded. In an instant, Ron and others' thoughts returned. Turning his head and looking around, it can be seen that Sachi's momentum has increased significantly, and his strength has truly reached the level of a general. In addition, because what he ate was Zone, the ancient devil fruit, Sage was also able to transform into a beastman and beast, and could even control a certain degree of lightning power. As blue arcs of electricity pulsed from his body, Thatch suddenly stood up from the ground. In the next second, it can be seen that his body has grown significantly by 20 centimeters, and his whole body has become stronger. The most important thing is that with the power of Zone, Snake Fruit, Ancient Species, and Thunder Python form being mastered, Sachi's eyes also turned into snake eyes, looking a little cold and arrogant. Thatch. What a strong aura. Thatch became a lot stronger after eating this devil fruit. Quote. For a time, the captains of the Whitebeard Pirates were talking about it. Everyone looked at Sachi with eyes full of surprise, shock and happiness. After all, except for a very few people like Beasta who don't eat devil fruit, the rest are almost all ability users. Now that Saki has become an Esper, and is so powerful, this is definitely making people happy. Ha ha ha. My strength has improved. The shackles of my own potential were also broken. At this time, Sachi had already felt his own situation and couldn't help laughing loudly. The fact is, as Ron and Ace said, with the power of devil fruit, he truly broke his own limits and shackles. Even this was just after eating the devil fruit planted by Zone Ancient, giving him a period of time to fully master, develop, and even awaken it. At that time, Saki will definitely be a top-notch existence within the general level, and may even reach the level of the Emperor's deputy. Congratulations to Captain Sage. Congratulations Brother Saki. Single quote. Congratulations, Brother Saki. Quote. For a moment, Ron, Ace, Teach and others also quickly opened their mouths to congratulate. After all, the stronger Saki is, the happier it is for them. Advertisement. Thank you, brothers. Smiling slightly, Saki looked at everyone gratefully at this moment. After all, before getting the fruit before, Marco and others also spoke and paid for him. Then, Thatch looked at Whitebeard and said, "Thank you, Dad, for the devil fruit. Dad, I have a book of 6 forms of world government here. This is stronger than the Marine 6 styles practiced by Marine, let Dad decide." With that said, Thatch took out the secret book of the enhanced version of 6 styles from his arms and handed it to Whitebeard. The 6 styles of world government. Nodding, Whitebeard took the secret book and looked through it. Immediately afterwards, he threw it to Marco and said, "Marco, these 6 forms of world government are good, memorize them and practice them. Not only you, but also the captains and vice-captains of each division must practice. If there are outstanding team members, they can also teach 1.5 moves to enhance the combat power of the Whitebeard Pirates. Although the consequences of this thing are great. But Whitebeard didn't care either. If you don't get it, that's it. But now that it's in your own hands, there's no need to say that you really don't want to learn. After all, the world government's 6 styles have been strengthened on the basis of Marine 6 styles, making them both more powerful and more practical." "Yes, Dad." Hearing this, Marco did not dare to neglect, quickly took the secret book and started to read it. "Let me take a look too. Let me take a look too." Quote. At the same time, Josie and other division captains also stepped forward to check. After all, it is a method that can improve the strength of themselves and the team members, how could they not care? Including Beasta. He was the first to get this thing, but he didn't know what to do with it, so he lost to Thatch and Ace. Now that Whitebeard has spoken, Beasta is also determined to pass it on to his team members. "Dad! Dad!" At this moment, a cry came. Looking around, one of the team members could be seen hurriedly arriving on the deck. After arriving at the venue area, he knelt down and said, "Dad, I just got the news that Marine has seized a batch of materials from Beast's pirates. Now Kaido is furious and dispatched Jack the Drow to lead Beast's pirates. They want to attack Marine's G5 base in New World. It is said that the supplies taken away by Marine contained more than 100 devil fruits. I don't know where they were obtained. Beast's pirates attaches great importance to them and cares about them. What? Over 100 devil fruit." Upon hearing this, the squad leader present exploded. "Devil fruit. That is a treasure of the sea. Even the Whitebeard pirates only get a dozen or 20 devil fruits in a year. But now, someone actually sold hundreds of devil fruit to Beast's pirates at one time. If they could get it, then. Dad." Almost instantly, Marco and the others all looked at Whitebeard and said, "Let's take action too. We must not let the Beast's pirates get that batch of devil fruit. Yes, if he gets more than 100 devil fruits, the strength of Beast's pirates will be even more terrifying. It is said that the number of Kaido's Beast Legion itself has reached more than 200. If we get this batch of materials, the number and combat power of the 100 Beast Legion will be difficult to contain." Chapter 19 Whitebeard personally conquers and achieves breakthrough in strength. Advertisement. Good guy. There is such a thing. Over 100 devil fruit. This should be the artificial devil fruit made by Doflamingo. Looking at the extremely excited people, Ron was thoughtful and surprised at this moment. After all, there don't seem to be many Marines in the New World at this time, and the 5 bases don't occupy much sea area. Where did they get the guts to rob the Beast's pirates? The most important thing is that Doflamingo is now Shichibukai. Even if it is sent to Beast's pirates, it will be protected under the banner of Shichibukai. Under such circumstances, who would dare to ignore the orders of the world government and take action against Shichibukai's people? Even plunder supplies. G5 base, who is responsible for guarding it? At this time, Whitebeard spoke quietly. It's not just Ron. Even Whitebeard also vaguely felt that something was wrong. After all, this kind of behavior is selecting 4 emperors, more than 100 devil fruit, enough to make Kaido and Beast's pirates crazy. Even if this news gets out, it will not only be them who will be crazy, but even the big pirates in New World will not stand idly by. If someone secretly pushes for it, then this matter is likely to turn into the trigger of a huge battle. When the time comes, the Marines and pirates involved will pay an extremely heavy price. Dad, it seems to be the former Marine Admiral, Zephyr. At this time, Marco stepped forward and said with a solemn expression, according to the information I got, Zephyr is not only sitting in the G5 base, but also leading a group of newly graduated naval headquarters elites to conduct trials. The seizure of the ship this time was probably because Zephyr encountered it and intercepted the cargo of Beast's pirates. It's just that they probably didn't know what was in it at the beginning, which is why they didn't keep it secret immediately, and the news leaked out. As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately recognized him. As Marco said, if Marine had known that there were more than 100 devil fruits, there would have been no way he would have allowed the message to be passed on. Instead, he would have blocked it as soon as possible, or even moved it back to naval headquarters. Zephyr. After pondering for a while, Whitebeard slowly said, "Old friends. In that case, let's go. I want to see for myself what this old rival is going to do. Perhaps, the other old rivals will also appear this time." Speaking of this, Whitebeard's eyes were full of nostalgia, without any hostility or fighting spirit. At his grade, very few of his opponents in their youth could survive, and even fewer of his peers could have a direct conversation with him. On the contrary, Zephyr et al. Although they are Marines, they are a hostile force. But to be honest, he was still an old friend and he still wanted to appear at such gatherings. Yes. Yes. Hearing this, Marco, Josie and others all agreed. Since Whitebeard wanted to go there in person, they naturally had to follow. After a short discussion, the vice captains of each division stayed to guard their respective territories, while the division captains followed Whitebeard and set off on the Moby DK. Among them, Teach immediately chose to stay behind, but Ron was asked to go with him before he could refuse. However, in just over half an hour, the Moby Dick's supplies were completed, and then the huge ship left the base camp and began to drive rapidly towards the G5 base. "Captain Sage, I'm so weak, I can't help if I follow you." On the deck, Ron looked helplessly at Saki next to him and said. Advertisement. When Teach got off the boat and stayed behind, he wanted to follow him. After all, anyone who is not an idiot can see that he will definitely take action this time. His strength has not even reached the school level, so it is absolutely extremely dangerous to follow him rashly. But I never expected it. Before he even spoke, Saki had already taken the lead in asking him to stay. When Sachi opened his mouth, Whitebeard and others did not refuse, which also resulted in him being unable to refuse at all. At this point, Ron was depressed inside. Now, most of his own flaws have been repaired. In addition, since he has taken devil fruit, he can practice hard in the base camp and become stronger as soon as possible. However, Sachi didn't give him a chance at all, but instead looked like he wanted to teach him something. "Don't worry." With a laugh, Sachi was very happy to see Ron's depressed expression. Then, he patted Ron on the shoulder and said, "Dad, there won't be any big problem. You are the future pillar of our 4th division, but you need to practice more. And my strength has been improved now. If anything happens, I will protect you." Hearing this, Ron's mouth twitched. Protect yourself. If something goes wrong, Saki won't even be able to grasp it. Although Whitebeard is very strong, if it really evolves into a large-scale conflict or battle, he may not be able to hold on with his small arms and legs. Then it's up to Captain Thatch. Although he was depressed, Ron didn't refute. After all, the deal was done, and now it was impossible for him to get off the ship and go back to guard the base camp. The next thing to do is to follow Saki and ensure his own safety. Now it's right. Seeing that Ron no longer looked sad, Saki smiled even more. Then, he patted Ron on the shoulder and said, "Okay, then you have a good rest. It's still a while before we go to the G5 base. I'm going to drink." After saying that, Sage stood up and walked towards the area where Marco and others were in the distance. Relative to Ron's nervousness, at this moment, Marco and others had no worries at all, including the crew members who were following them out to sea. After all, this time it was Whitebeard who took action himself. As the strongest man in the world, they had absolute confidence in him. With a sigh, Ron didn't relax. After watching Sa-Chi leave, he quickly stood up and began to continue exercising the enhanced version of the 6 poses. Shunpo. Shunpo. With each use, Ron's proficiency and understanding of Shunpo are also rapidly improving. 3 days later, Ron's Shunpo reached the stage of success. 7 days later, Ron successfully learned the moonwalk. 12 days later, Ron's moonwalk reached success. Break it for me. Early that morning, Ron stood at the bow of the ship, raised his hand, aimed at the area in front of him, and punched out. Bang! A burst of explosions resounded, and sounds like fried beans resounded throughout Ron's body. At this moment, his own blood boiled, and his overall strength successfully reached the school level and stabilized at the early stage of a major. Chapter 20 20% Development, The Backlash of Paramecia Fruit. Advertisement. It's done. I finally reached the school level. At this moment, Ron was extremely excited. His hard work for so long finally paid off. As his strength reaches the school level, his strength, speed, defense and physical strength have all been greatly improved. According to his estimation, this time he has almost been strengthened by about 10 times as a whole, which shows how big the gap is between the school level and the lieutenant level. Open the panel. Taking a deep breath, Ron immediately summoned his copy panel. Open black lens bracket Ron close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age, 14 close black lens bracket. Strength. Major, initial stage. Open black lens bracket devil fruit, Paramecia copy fruit 20% close black lens bracket. Copied. Zone bird fruit phantom beast species phoenix form 20%. Okay. Not only has the strength increased, but the fruit's development rate has also reached 20%. As long as there is 10% development, I can copy the fruit's ability for the second time. For a moment, Ron smiled even more. This is the benefit of eating devil fruit. The early stage strength increases extremely quickly. Even if it slows down in the later stage, as long as the ability of the fruit you copy is strong enough, you don't need to worry about the shackles of potential and the trouble of being unable to break through. Thinking of this, Ron couldn't help laughing. Haha. Ron, why are you so happy? At this time, a surprised voice came from behind. Looking through the sound, Ace was rubbing his head and walking towards him with a face that looked like he had not yet sobered up. Ace. Ron's eyes suddenly lit up when he saw the person coming. The original idea on Partridge Island seems to be able to be realized now. With the development of devil fruit, his Qingyan has also been enhanced to a certain extent. Qingyan can be controlled to engage in various battles, but its temperature is still fixed at around 200 degrees Celsius. Thinking of this, Ron stopped his smile, shrugged and said, "My strength has reached the school level. It doesn't make me happy." What? So fast? Hearing this, Ace was stunned. You know, from the time Ron arrived at the Whitebeard Pirates headquarters to copy the Phoenix fruit, his strength was only at the sergeant level. After that, he copied the Phoenix Devil fruit, and after going through the incident on Partridge Island, his strength reached the rank of lieutenant. How long has it been? It's simply unbelievable that he has already reached the school level in 3 months. Even at the major level, it is essentially considered a good combat capability within the sea. Even in the New World, those with a major level of strength are elites within the pirate group, not just ordinary crew members. You are such a monster. Subconsciously speaking, Ace said somewhat complicatedly. However, he is confident in his own strength and is even satisfied with self-improvement. But he was still stimulated by Ron's situation, and even felt a little sour. Good luck. Waving his hand, Ron has nothing to be proud of, he is very aware of his own weakness. It was Ace instead. Because he has slacked off after joining the Whitebeard Pirates. Before joining, he was comparable to the elite vice admiral, and it is still the same now. Whether it is the development of the fruit or hockey, the training of physical skills has not improved much. Thinking of this, Ron said, I am just using the power of devil fruit to speed up my practice in the early stage. On the contrary, Ace, you should work harder. Advertisement. After all, Dad has great expectations for you. Hearing this, Ace nodded. I have to say that he has really relaxed during this time. Even though his experience on Partridge Island allowed him to take time to learn the enhanced version of Marine 6 styles, he actually didn't work too hard. He didn't have much intention to become stronger at the moment, but he didn't want to disappoint Whitebeard either. After thinking this, Ace said, "Indeed, it's time for me to practice well. Ron, I'm going to exercise too." With that, Ace was about to leave. Wait a minute. Seeing this situation, Ron became anxious and quickly stopped him. "Ace, I need your help with something." "Oh, what's the matter?" Hearing this, Ace was stunned, and then looked at Ron in confusion. After all, he had a clear view of Ron's training during this period. Whether it was Shunpo or High Moonwalk, to be honest, they were all untouchable to him. "I want to raise the temperature of Qing Yan." No nonsense, Ron summoned the blue flame of the phoenix fruit with a wave of his hand. With his fingers twitching, Qing Yan began to transform into various forms under his control. Then, Ron said, "The power of Qing Yan is good, but the temperature is too weak. A temperature of just 200 degrees is too weak in my opinion. I want to try to see if I can swallow the condensed flames of your Paramecia fruit, so as to increase the temperature of the blue flames with the help of the Paramecia fruit flames." "Oh, that's okay." Upon hearing this, Ace suddenly became interested. Using the power of Paramecia fruit to raise the temperature of Qingyan was something that not even Marco had ever done or thought about. If it can really succeed, the increase in Qingyan's temperature will definitely improve Ron's strength to a certain extent. Thinking of this, Ace quickly said, "Then how should I cooperate with you?" "Simple." The corners of his mouth turned up, but Ace didn't refuse, which also made Ron sigh in relief. Then, he directly stretched out his hand and said, "Inject the power of your Paramecia fruit into it. I'm trying to improve Qingyan to see if I can increase the temperature." "Good. Promise." Ace has no nonsense. He stretched out his hand and condensed a ball of flame, which fell into the blue flame in Ron's hand without hesitation. Sizzling. Sizzling. In an instant, red and blue flames began to merge. As the two flames entangled each other, you could clearly feel a violent aura permeating the air. Not good. At this moment, Ron's expression changed drastically. He felt the Qingyan in his hand was so violent that he even couldn't control it. For a moment, Ron couldn't care about anything else and immediately raised his hand and planned to throw it into the sea. However, it was not yet time for Ron to take action. The azure blue flame was suddenly engulfed by the red flame, and then passed directly into Ron's body along the palm of his hand. Ah! With a scream, Ron could clearly feel the flames of the Paramecia fruit burning him. This also caused his whole face to look a little ferocious, and severe pain continued to spread from all parts of his body. Not good. Seeing this situation, Ace's expression also changed. He quickly dispersed the power of Paramecia fruit and looked at Ron worriedly. "Ron, are you okay?" "Ron, quickly mobilize the green flames to cover yourself. Covering the body with green flames should be able to slow down the invasion of the Paramecia fruit's power." Quote. Chapter 21 Phoenix Orc Form, shocked Marco. Advertisement. The blue flame covers itself. Ron was stunned when he heard Ace's words. However, he quickly started to act. He mobilized the green flames to cover himself, trying to block the power of the Paramecia fruit from affecting him. However, such a situation is also extremely difficult. With Ron's continuous maneuvering, the green flames did block some of the Paramecia fruit's flames after they appeared, but they were quickly engulfed, resulting in the Paramecia fruit's flames becoming more powerful. Damn it! This is not good news. For a moment, Ron felt extremely angry and frustrated. But in the current situation, he has no way to do it. Seeing Paramecia fruit's flame power continuously invading his body, Ace on the side had already raised his hand to push him into the sea. Although a landlubber. But as long as he falls into the sea, the flames on Ron's body can be extinguished, and at worst, he can be fished out. Violent. Suddenly, a cry echoed through Ron's body. At this moment, Ron directly noticed the difference in himself. He could clearly feel that the power of the Paramecia fruit that invaded his body burned his internal organs at first. But at this moment, it was as if something was reviving in his body. The Paramecia fruit that was originally raging was being absorbed rapidly, unable to even cause damage to his internal organs. This is. For a moment, Ron didn't care about anything else and quickly concentrated on checking. It can be clearly felt that a phoenix is beginning to condense in the area of his heart. This is the ability of the Zone Devil fruit. Once it is revived, it means that Ron will complete the first phase of the development of the Zone Devil fruit, becoming a beast. There is no doubt about the power of orcs. According to Marco and others, in the orc form of the phoenix, all attributes of the phoenix can be enhanced by about 5 to 8 times. This also means that what he needs to do now is to increase the absorption of flames to truly awaken the phoenix and complete the first phase of development. Thinking of this, Ron suddenly said, "Ace, increase the firepower. I feel the power of the phoenix fruit being activated. If you increase the injection of the Paramecia fruit flame, I will completely awaken it. I may even take this opportunity to actually complete the increase in the temperature of the blue flame." Is that so? Hearing this, Ace stretched out his hand to push Ron. Ron glanced at him in surprise. But after seeing that he did not look in any pain at this moment, and that his Paramecia fruit power did not pose a fatal threat to him, he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "In that case, then I believe you. If you can't hold on, just say it, and I will push you into the sea, completely extinguish the flames and fish you out." After speaking, Ace stopped talking nonsense. With a thought, the red flame appeared again and began to inject directly into Ron's body. It began to continuously enter his body, enter his heart and be absorbed by the phoenix. For a moment, Ron and Ace were in a stalemate at the bow of the ship. As the flames continued to burn, everyone inside the Moby Dick also noticed the movement here. "Ace, what are you doing? Ace, what's going on with you? Ace, how do you unleash your fire on Ron?" Quote. Advertisement. For a time, countless shouts resounded. After seeing Ron's current situation, Marco and others' expressions changed. I was afraid that there would be a conflict between the two of them, or that Ace would take action against Ron because of other concerns. Marco, you are here. However, Ace couldn't care about this at this moment. At this moment, he was a little tired and weak after spending a long time to condense the fire domain. I am helping Ron develop the ability of the Phoenix fruit. He just told me that his Phoenix fruit will be able to reach the Beastman stage, but he also needs to use the power of the Paramecia fruit's flame to awaken it. What? Awakening into a beast? Hearing this, everyone present was shocked. Are you going to turn into a Beastman so soon? Is Ron developing the Phoenix fruit too fast? And judging from the current situation, Ace didn't lie. Although the power of Paramecia fruit continued to wreak havoc on Ron, it did not pose any danger to his life. Subconsciously, they looked at Marco and said, "Marco, after you ate the Phoenix fruit, I remember it took you more than a year to become a beast, right? I didn't expect that Ron would have already reached such a stage after just 2 or 3 months of copying. Isn't this really irritating?" Hearing this, Marco's mouth twitched. How could he not know that this was a joke by Beasta and others? However, he had to admit in his heart that Ron's development of fruit abilities was indeed very fast. It can even be said that his talent in this area is far inferior to that of his counterpart. But at this moment, he refused to be outdone and retorted, "What's the matter? Ron's is a Paramecia fruit, so the difficulty of development is naturally much lower than that of my zone, the Phantom Beast. Not everyone's Paramecia is the same as Dad's shock fruit. The development difficulty is extremely difficult and huge." As soon as these words came out, Beasta and others twitched their mouths. Although I knew Marco was being harsh, it was undeniable that what he said did make some sense. Violent. At this moment, a cry resounded. As dark blue-green flames rose into the sky, Ace, Marco and others were all knocked back more than 10 meters. At this moment, Ron's figure soared into the sky, his hands opened wide, and dark blue flames began to emerge from his body, not only burning the area that fixed his entire body in midair like wings. At the same time, traces of flames appeared on Ron's face, neck, and ankle area, which was clearly one of the manifestations of the Beastman's Phoenix form. He succeeded. It's actually done. This kid's talent is really terrifying. Quote. For a moment, Marco and others couldn't help but lose their voices. Although what Ace said before was shocking, even they were looking forward to it. But when Ron completed this step, they were still a little stimulated, even shocked. After all, Ron had developed it to such an extent just 2 or 3 months after he got the fruit. If he was given some time, wouldn't it mean that he would be able to surpass himself and others every minute? No, that's not right. His fire is not at the right temperature. Suddenly, Marco seemed to notice something. His eyes widened and he stared at Ron floating in the air. He said in disbelief, "It's so high. The temperature of this blue flame is so high. It's higher than the temperature of my green flame. Many times higher. How is this possible? Qingyan's temperature is fixed. Even if I am close to awakening now, I can't increase it. How could he make Qingyan's temperature increase so much all at once?" Chapter 22 The green flame of 600 degrees Celsius is ready to attack Marco. Advertisement. Hearing this, Josie, Bista and others were also stunned. Temperature. They all know the temperature of Qingyan. The overall temperature is only about 200 degrees Celsius, and its destructive power is not strong. Although the phoenix fruit is a top-level zone and phantom beast species, its focus is on healing rather than attacking. But now, the temperature of the blue flames of the phoenix fruit that Ron copied from the past suddenly increased several times, which greatly improved its shortcomings of insufficient attack. When they thought of this, Bista and others also looked puzzled and asked, "Why is this happening? Can Qingyan be improved? But why can't Marco, but Ron can? It's my Paramecia fruit." At this time, Ace on the side came back to his senses and said thoughtfully, "Ron just told me that he wanted to use the power of Paramecia fruit to increase the temperature of Qingyan. Because of this, I activated the power of Paramecia fruit on him." Unexpectedly, he not only unlocked the Beastman transformation, but also completed the increase in flame temperature. What? That's okay. Hearing this, Marco was dumbfounded, glanced at Ron in disbelief, and then looked at Ace with piercing eyes. After all, Ron's successful case is happening right in front of him. Does that mean that he can also use the power of Paramecia fruit to improve his own strength? Marco's breathing quickened when he thought of this. He is also the deputy of the Emperor, and his own strength is absolutely beyond doubt. But Marco himself still has a flaw, that is, devil fruit's insufficient attack power. Although he also masters the two-color hockey, Phoenix is a species of phantom beast, and its essence is still based on fruit abilities. The Phoenix fruit has good abilities in all aspects, except its destructive power. But if Qingyan can increase the temperature several times, the benefits will be extremely huge, even. Condensation. At this time, Ron's low roar sounded in the air. It can be seen that the green inflammation all over his body converged at a speed visible to the naked eye, and he exited the beast-like state in a short period of time. The whole person landed on the deck from the sky and said with excitement, "Success." Not only has the orc transformation been unlocked, but all attributes can be increased 5 times in the orc transformation. Qingyan's temperature has even increased 3 times after absorbing the Paramecia fruit. Although the temperature of only 600 degrees Celsius cannot be compared with the 800 degrees Celsius of Paramecia fruit, its power has been increased 3 times, and its destructive power and scope have also been greatly improved. At this moment, the joy on Ron's face could not be suppressed. He already had a brand new idea in his mind at this moment. Since the power of the Paramecia fruit can be combined to increase the temperature of the blue flame when activating the beast transformation, will it be able to increase it again when the beast transformation is completed in the future? Paramecia fruit is no longer enough, but the temperature of molten fruit and hot fruit can be very high. If it can be compatible with their temperatures, the destructive power of its own blue flame will reach a more terrifying level. By then, Phoenix will be an all-round devil fruit that can attack, defend, assist, and heal. Excellent in all aspects, it will truly become the top-tier zone phantom beast species. Ron. At this time, Marco hurriedly walked forward and asked, "How is it? How much has the temperature of your flame increased? Can Qingyan really use Paramecia fruit to raise the temperature?" As soon as these words came out, Saki, Bista and others looked directly at Ron. They also all know that if such a thing is true, it will be a huge improvement for Marco, and even the strength of the Whitebeard Pirates will be greatly improved. Advertisement. After all, Marco is a genuine emperor and deputy-level combatant. If he increases the temperature of his Qing Yan, then Marco's strength will definitely become more powerful. It is true. Nodding, Ron came back to his senses. He glanced at Marco, who had piercing eyes, and then said, "But I don't know if Captain Marco can complete it. The power of the Paramecia fruit itself surpasses that of the Phoenix Blue Flame. Just now, when I came into contact with the Paramecia fruit flame, I was suppressed and even burned my body. At that time, I was in so much pain that I couldn't even resist. It was the awakening of the Beastman form that changed everything. When I transform into a beast, the power of the phoenix appears in my body. After it appears, it begins to absorb the flames of the Paramecia fruit. This causes the temperature of the blue flames to triple when I complete the transformation into a beast, reaching 600 degrees Celsius. Captain Marco has already completed his transformation into a beastman and a beast. I'm not sure if I can absorb the power of the Paramecia fruit to improve the overall quality of Qing Yan. Like this." Hearing this, Marco frowned. According to Ron's story, this matter is not simple, and even the dangers involved are huge. Even he could not ensure his own safety after being burned by the power of Paramecia fruit. "Marco, let's try this after this matter is over." At this time, Saki stepped forward and said, "Good. I'll try it later. We will soon reach the G5 base. If you are injured, the consequences will be disastrous. After we return, it is safest to try to improve while ensuring safety." Quote. Beasta, Josie and others also spoke one after another. Marco, who was deeply afraid of this moment, desperately chose to try to increase the temperature of Qingyan. That's all if it goes well. But if it fails, it will definitely cause huge damage to it. I see. Nodding, Marco calmed down and said, "I will not take risks at this time. I'll try it with Ace for help when I get back." Having said this, Marco seemed to have thought of something and looked at Ron with piercing eyes. "Ron, release your blue flame and let me see it. The Qing Yan at 600 degrees Celsius is 3 times as hot as mine. I really want to see it." "Good." Single quote. Not taking no for an answer, Ron extended his hand. In an instant, dark blue flames appeared in his hands. This is the green flame after the ascension. Different from the blue before, the flame at this moment is dark blue and deep. Rather than calling it green flame, it is better to call it blue flame. So strong. It's not as good as Ace's Paramecia fruit, but it's Logia. The temperature of this Qingyan has increased so much, it's really enviable. Quote. For a moment, Marco's eyes were eager. Looking at the dark blue Qingyan's eyes were full of desire and yearning. Woo! Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound. Following the sound, it could be seen that a huge pirate ship appeared in the sea not far away, and it was heading towards the Moby Dick at an extremely fast speed, and it seemed that it was about to collide. Chapter 23 Ship King Jack, Encirclement and Counter-Encirclement. Advertisement. That's the Beast's pirate's ship. Seeing this scene, Sachi and others' expressions suddenly became ugly. Although the two sides are far apart, the flag can already be clearly seen at this moment. Because of this, the latter's actions are clearly provocative. A guy looking for death. Notify people to prepare for battle. In a split second, Marco gave the order. Yes. Yes. In this regard, Saki and others also agreed. Although Whitebeard was also on the ship, even the captain. But there is no need to bother Whitebeard with such small things. Marco, as the captain of the first team, almost always prepares them. For a moment, Beasta and the others did not hesitate, turned around and left in a hurry to gather their men. At the same time, Ron also followed Sage to an area. Looking at the approaching ship, Thatch said, "This is the ship of the Beast's pirates. If a fight breaks out later, you should go back to the cabin and don't forcefully participate, you know." "Okay, Captain Thatch." Nodding, Ron didn't refuse. Although his strength has improved to the level of a major, and he has even completed the transformation into a beast and the increase in the temperature of the green flames, he does not think that his strength will increase too much. In such a situation, he would not act foolishly and take the initiative. The best option would be to do what he could. On the contrary, if he took action forcefully, the probability of being killed would be greatly increased. Thatch. Ron. Single quote. At this moment, Ace's call came. It can be seen that he hurried to the court area and said, I told my father that the second team and the fourth team will act together next. Good. Hearing this, Saki did not refuse. After all, everyone has seen what happened to Ace before. When helping Ron to improve his fruit abilities, Ace consumed a lot of money and has yet to recover. Under such circumstances, a group of people stood at the edge of the ship and waited patiently. Captain Jack. That seems to be the ship of the Whitebeard Pirates. Do we really want to go there? At the same time, on the other side of Jack the Dro's ship, a pirate asked with an anxious look. After all, the Whitebeard Pirates are one of the 4 emperors. Now they are going to the G5 base to find trouble for Marine. If they rashly offend the Whitebeard Pirates, then. Who do you think Lousy is? Jack disagreed with this. After glancing at the pirate, he shouted loudly, leave Lousy over here. What about the Whitebeard Pirates? Lousy is Jack the Dro. When they appear here, they probably know something. They should push it back first to ensure that these guys don't cause trouble later. As soon as these words came out, the pirate below suddenly realized. It turns out that Jack's purpose was to take the lead in frightening the Whitebeard Pirates. Thinking of this, they all felt relieved and speeded up the ship without hesitation. As he got closer, Jack's expression gradually turned ugly as he stood in the bow area. Because as the two sides got closer, he had already seen the figures of Marco, Josie, Beasta and other captains standing in front of the Moby DK. Especially as the ships on both sides completely met head-on, he finally saw Whitebeard sitting on the deck with his back leaning on a chair and sleeping with his eyes closed. Whitebeard. At this moment, Jack couldn't hold himself any longer. He suddenly took a few steps forward, took the telescope from his subordinate's hand, and looked carefully. Confirming that he had read correctly, Jack couldn't hold himself any longer and shouted urgently, "Get out! Quickly retreat! Advertisement! Damn it, why did that old guy Whitebeard show up here? What? Whitebeard. The strongest man in the world. Why is he here?" Quote. Hearing this, the members of Jack's pirate group were also dumbfounded. Every body trembled in fear, and some even collapsed on the ground and lost strength. In absolute panic, the ships that were rushing towards the Moby DK also quickly slowed down and even started to drive to the side area in an attempt to avoid the intersection of the Moby DK. It's Jack. This guy is really brave. How dare you single-handedly pick us? Seeing this situation, the solemn expressions on the faces of Marco and others disappeared, replaced by playful expressions. I thought it was Kaido himself who took action, and they were all ready for a battle. But I didn't expect that it was just Jack. Although one of the 3 disasters has a good reputation, it is nothing to those present. Boost. Follow me. Catch Jack and find out whether the devil fruit information is true or false. Without any hesitation, Marco gave the order directly. Yes. Hearing this, the crew members in the cabin also became energetic. It's just Jack. Then the ship in front of you is not threatening. Without hesitation, the Moby DK speeded up suddenly. However, within a short period of time, they directly caught up with Jack the Dro's ship. At this moment, Marco and the others did not hesitate. They jumped directly to Jack's ship and said, "Jack the Dro, where are you going?" "Jack, long time no see. Isn't it too much for you to leave without saying hello?" "Jack, it's better to choose the day than to hit it. Last time you provoked me, this time we have to settle the score." Quote. For a moment, Chowzi and others spoke one after another. He didn't pay any attention to Jack's face, which had turned red to the color of liver. His expression was more of amusement and ridicule. Including Ron. At this moment, everyone followed Saki and Ace to Jack's ship. It's not that his self-confidence is overwhelming, but according to Sachi's words, Jack is the meat on the chopping board and cannot pose a threat to him. You guys. Jack opened his mouth, feeling heavy in his heart. If he were to face anyone alone, he would be absolutely sure and even defeat them. But now he was facing 16 captains of the Whitebeard Pirates. Almost no one was weaker than him, let alone some that he couldn't match. Under such circumstances, he was completely surrounded and had no choice. Even if the arrangement was to go head to head and fail and be caught, it was a certainty. Do. Do. Suddenly, a burst of phone calls rang out. Immediately afterwards, Jack's expression changed, and he subconsciously took out a phone jack from his arms. Boss, Jack, where have you been? However, Jack wasn't done yet. Kaido Haki's exposed voice came out from within the phone worm. Lousy has led the Beast Legion and is approaching the G5 base. Why haven't you arrived yet? Didn't you hear Lousy's order clearly? The attack will be launched before noon. Are you afraid and deliberately slowing down? Chapter 24 Jack is captured, angry Kaido. Advertisement. Boss. Listening to Kaido's roar, Jack felt extremely embarrassed at the moment. Originally, if he didn't come towards the Moby DK, he could indeed meet up with Kaido and others before arriving at the G5 base before noon. But now, he was immediately surrounded, or even hijacked. Faced with the siege of the 16 division captains of the Whitebeard Pirates, Jack didn't think he could escape even if he was conceded. For a moment, Jack looked downcast and said, "Sorry, I messed up. I'm surrounded by the Whitebeard Pirates." What? Upon hearing this, Kaido's face on the other end of the phone suddenly darkened. It was a huge shame that Jack was surrounded by the Whitebeard Pirates. After all, he is also one of the 4 emperors. The behavior of the Whitebeard Pirates is undoubtedly a provocation to the Beast's pirates and themselves. Thinking of this, Kaido suddenly roared, "Give me your seat. Lousy wants to see, it's that brat from the Whitebeard Pirates who dared to surround me." As soon as these words came out, Jack even picked his feet in embarrassment. The 16 Whitebeard pirate captains, plus Whitebeard himself, are all here. Even if Kaido comes, he has no chance of winning. Whitebeard. Seeing this, Marco stepped forward and said calmly, "We were sailing smoothly on the sea, and your subordinate Jack suddenly ran out to attack Dad. Who do you think is provoking? G5 base, you are over there now, right? How about we take Jack to meet you?" Marco. Hearing Marco's voice, Kaido looked sad. For no other reason than because he knew very well that Marco represented the face of the Whitebeard Pirates. As the captain of the first team, Marco almost always plays the role of royal deputy. Now that he has caught Jack, that means Whitebeard is here too. What annoys him the most is that Jack actually takes the initiative to provoke Whitebeard. Is this because he thinks he is not troublesome enough? For a moment, Kaido was filled with anger. But under the current circumstances, he really couldn't continue to get angry. After all, he was about to attack the G5 base, and the Marines he faced should not be underestimated, let alone the Whitebeard Pirates who came out at this time. Thinking of this, Kaido suppressed his anger and said, "In that case, come if you are brave enough. Tell Whitebeard that Jack belongs to Lousy. If you dare to kill him, you will start an all-out war with Lousy." After saying that, Kaido hung up the phone angrily and smashed the wine bottle in his hand. "Boss, what's going on? Boss, what's going on?" Quote. Seeing this, Jin and Quinn quickly stepped forward. Looking at the furious Kaido, both of them looked puzzled and confused. Among them, Jin subconsciously asked, "Did something happen to Jack's side?" "That's the brainless guy." With a cold snort, Kaido said angrily, "He ran to attack Whitebeard and cause trouble to Lousy at this time. Now that old guy Whitebeard also knows Lousy is here, he's going to get a piece of the pie soon. I'm really d off." As soon as these words came out, Jin and Quinn both twitched their mouths. Advertisement. They guessed that Jack was in trouble. But I never expected that this guy would cause such a big trouble. Mess with Whitebeard, where did he get the guts to do such a thing? But now, both of them know that this matter cannot be changed. After looking at each other, Jin looked at Kaido and said, "Boss, this is not a bad thing. Although it is true that Whitebeard will share some of the benefits when he comes here, it does not mean that we will lose too much. On the other hand, if we have the help of the Whitebeard Pirates, we will be more confident in attacking the G5 base and retrieving what the clown sent us. Although those artificial devil fruits are good, they are not enough to make Whitebeard excited. As long as you tell him the clues, Whitebeard is very likely to give up. The worst is to give up some other benefits to him. Compared with the more than 100 artificial devil fruits, it's nothing to get up. Hearing this, Kaido was thoughtful. Although he didn't want to give up his interests in his heart, it was just as Jin said. If you can get Whitebeard's help at a small cost, you will be more likely to get your things back. When he thought of this, Kaido immediately said, as of now, this is the only way it can be. Be prepared. When Whitebeard comes, Laozi will negotiate with him. Yes. Yes. Hearing this, Jin and Quinn did not dare to neglect. After bowing, they turned around and walked out to start preparations. Jack, let's go. At the same time, Marco glanced at the hung-up phone bug, then looked at Jack playfully and said, lead the way to where Kaido is. HMPH. With a cold snort, Jack felt extremely angry and aggrieved. But at this moment, he couldn't refute anything. After all, Kaido has spoken, and he really has no power to resist now. Sail to where Boss Kaido is. Thinking of this, Jack turned to look at the members of Beast's Pirates aside and said, yes. Yes. Hearing this, the crew members also breathed a sigh of relief. At least it's not a fight with the Whitebeard Pirates, otherwise Jack might not die in a fight, but their crew can't withstand the attacks of more than a dozen Whitebeard Pirates captains. Immediately afterwards, this group of people quickly began to prepare the ship to move forward. Marco and others took Jack to the Moby DK, but Ron, Thatch and Ace were left to guard Jack's ship to ensure that the pirates inside would not cause trouble. After a while, two very large pirate ships began to move forward. Brother Saki. Sitting in the bow area of Jack's ship, Ace suddenly asked, why not kill Jack? Aren't we rivals with the Beast's Pirates? As soon as these words came out, Ron also looked at Saki curiously. The feud and fighting between the four emperors is huge, especially the Beast's Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates. Although he had only joined not long ago, he had also heard from people in the 4th Division that the two sides had had large-scale conflicts more than once before. An opponent and an enemy. After glancing at Ron and Ace, Saki smiled lightly and explained, but now is not the best opportunity. Jack is one of the 3 major poster boards of Beast's Pirates. If he is killed, it will be equivalent to an all-out war with Beast's Pirates. Such losses will be extremely huge. If it were before, then we, the Whitebeard Pirates, would naturally not be afraid. But with the rise of the red-haired Shanks, such things have become a little more subtle. Although there are not many red-hair pirates, they all follow the elite route, especially their deputy, Beckman, who is also a true Emperor-level powerhouse. This also makes the red-hair pirates a special double king lineup. Once we really fight with the Beast's Pirates, Shanks will definitely jump out and cause trouble. Then. Chapter 25 The Threat of Red Hair, the Real Purpose of White Group. Advertisement. Red Hair. Shanks. Hearing this, Ron and Ace frowned at the same time. They all knew Shanks, of course, only by knowledge. Although Ace is Roger's son and knows that Shanks is an intern on his father's ship, he has no intention of relying on Shanks' power. Otherwise, he would not have stayed when Shanks appeared on Windmill Island, but would have followed him out of Windmill Island. Even after entering the new world, Ace has no intention of contacting Shanks at this moment, and he doesn't even want to have anything to do with or interact with him. But now after listening to Sachi's words, Ace knew that Shanks was really powerful, especially his pirate group should not be underestimated. Why should we be afraid of him? Ron asked confused. From the information he received, there was no doubt that Shanks was indeed a conspirator. Even the formation and rise of the Straw Hat Pirates were secretly controlled by him. Like Luffy's rubber fruit. For example, Usopp's son Usopp. For example, Robin is the only one who can understand the text of history. But even so, the original book did not tell about any major conflicts between the Whitebeard Pirates and the Red Hair Pirates. After all, Shanks from the future also boarded the ship to remind Whitebeard not to let Ace hunt Teach. Even if the current Red Hair Pirates are the Twin Emperors, their own strength cannot be underestimated, and they have conflicts with the Whitebeard Pirates. Logically speaking, they cannot be so afraid of him. After all, Whitebeard is old, but not dead. Sighing, Saki said helplessly, it's not caused by the scar on the red-haired guy's face. Although I don't know who did it, there is no doubt that that person is from our Whitebeard Pirates. After that incident, the Red Hair Pirates have been watching us, always looking for opportunities to take revenge. The most important thing is that Shanks is too naive. He actually wants to stabilize the Four Emperors situation and formulate rules for pirates in the New World. Although we are all disdainful, it is undeniable that the situation of the Red Hair Pirates is too special. Unless they are all annihilated in one fell swoop, if they escape, no Four Emperors pirate group will be able to withstand the crazy revenge from the Red Hair Pirates. Quote. I see. Hearing this, Ron and Ace suddenly realized. It's just that Ace just understands why he is afraid of the Red Hair Pirates. But Ron also understood another thing. That is, Shanks has been looking for an opportunity to kill Teach. It should not only be that Teach left 3 scars on his eyes, but it is also possible that he has noticed something special and wrong with Teach. As Sage said, Shanks is committed to maintaining balance to ensure his own interests, waiting for the rise of the Straw Hat Pirates, and finally getting the final information to go to Raftel. After all, Shanks in the original book did not enter Raftel. Even though he followed Roger to the last sea area, he stayed and took care of Buggy but did not go there. Although he got some information about Raftel from Roger, he didn't know much or comprehensively. How could he allow someone to ruin his plan after planning it for so many years? Look around the world. Advertisement. Whitebeard is old. Kaido and Auntie both live in peace. There are really not many people in the New World who can be remembered and feared by Shanks, and Blackbeard teaches the only exception. After all, they have already fought and even failed. Shanks does not dare to underestimate Teach, let alone this hero who has been hiding in the Whitebeard Pirates for so many years. Captain Thatch. Thinking of this, Ron suddenly said, if that's the case, then do we have to allow the Red Hair Pirates to continue like this? According to what you said, this red-haired Shanks is equivalent to threatening the Whitebeard Pirates, Beasts Pirates and Big Mom Pirates. How can the 3-4 Emperors allow such a thing? As soon as these words came out, Ace nodded. Yes. This feeling of being coerced is really unpleasant. Isn't there a way to break the situation? No. Shaking his head, Sachi said with a complicated expression, not only Shanks, but also Marine and world government have recognized the 4 Emperors, model and existence. This also leads to the fact that even if the 3-4 Emperors groups are angry, they cannot annihilate the Red Hair Pirates. Once we take action, people from the world government and Marine will come to cause trouble. Unless a new pirate rises, defeats Shanks, defeats the Red Hair Pirates and takes his position as the 4 Emperors, then we can take action against him. Hearing this, Ron and Ace fell silent. 1 Red Hair Pirates is not terrible, but if you add the people from world government and Marine, it will indeed be a huge trouble. Anyone who provokes them will cause unnecessary trouble. Alright. Stop saying these disappointing things. Seeing this, Saki laughed, patted Ron and Ace on the shoulders, and then said, don't worry about those red-haired guys. The most important thing now is the next attack on the G5 base. If nothing else, Kaido and Dad will reach an agreement soon. We will all join in the attack on G5 Marine base when the time comes. You two must be careful not to be reckless. Although it's good to stand out, if you are targeted by Marine, it won't be good news for you now. Hearing this, Ron and Ace were also in awe. They are not strong enough. Even if Ace is not weak, they cannot ignore Marine's existence. As Sachi said, if they were targeted by Marine at this time, it would be extremely troublesome and even fatal for them. Brother Sachi, why are you attacking G5? Suddenly, Ace spoke. Although Devil Fruit is tempting, if we cooperate with Beasts Pirates, then they will definitely not give up these things. As a result, our Whitebeard Pirates don't have much benefit at all. If we attack Marine base, it will probably cause huge casualties. It is obviously not worth the loss. Ha ha ha. In response, Thatch laughed loudly, looked at Ace and said, Ace, we are pirates, and we are rivals and enemies with Marine. Of course, the most important thing is that Marine plans to build a G6 base, and the location chosen is on the edge of the sea area where our Whitebeard Pirates group is located. Once Marine completes the construction of the G6 base, all the actions of our Whitebeard Pirates will be visible to them. This is something we don't want to see. So, in addition to getting certain benefits from Kaido, the most important thing about this cooperation is to destroy the G5 base, thereby preventing Marine's plan and possibility of building a G6 Marine base. As long as we can prevent this, we, the Whitebeard Pirates, won't have to worry about anything for a long time to come.